Welcome to Plat Chat Overwatch, episode 259. We got a big episode on our hands today. We got 6 guests, or well, 5, I guess, because I'm hosting. But 5 guests joining us today, and we're talking a lot about the game. I don't need to introduce any of these people. They're all internet celebrities. You know who they are. So we're not going to make the rounds and just ask everyone how they are. So I hope you're great. Today we're going to chat a lot about the game. We're going to talk about 6v6, Freja, Open Queue. We got classic GOATs. It's going to be a great time. If you're curious about China, don't worry. We'll do a Plat Chat episode on China on Tuesday. But this episode, I just want to hang. Just want to hang with you guys. Just want to have a roundtable conversation, chat about the game. Don't feel like, I have to set you up or anything. Just like if you have anything to say, chime in. It's going to be a great time. Before we get into the game, though, great job, Solomon. You got the nameplate up and running. You got the nameplate up and running. I looked at the Valorant show, the Plat Chat Valorant show. And they did this thing that we don't do on the Overwatch show. And I said, why don't we do this? We have to copy what they do. We have some great members supporting the Plat Chat channel. I'm really grateful for supporting us monetarily. Keep the show running. Supports everyone who joins the broadcast now and then. And they do a members question each week. So before this episode, I decided let's ask our YouTube member community a question. And we'll try to do this weekly and just see if the panel here can answer these questions. So to kick things off, we got a question from Jake Blevins, 1809, which asks, I don't know if we can pull this up, Solomon. Which of the hosts would most likely win in a fight against a wolf? There you go. So, open floor. Out of the 6 people here, who do you think would have the best chance to beat a wolf?
I don't know why. I think I got Rack.
Physical fight, yeah. Physical
Rack?
fight.
I think I got Rack.
Do we have to is it a win? Is it like win or lose? Like take them down?
I think it's win or lose against a wolf, yeah. I don't think there's a draw.
I got you. I think you got that.
Really? I think you got quite a lot of swag, Rack, so I think I would
Rack's
actually...
the most intimidating here.
There you go.
The Rack.
Dude, I got AVRL.
Think so?
AVRL?
Yeah, dude, I feel like AVRL, tomato, same thing. But I think he'll take it down. He's a freaking strong guy, big guy. I see it happening.
Take a few hits.
I think we all die to the wolf, but I'll give it a good shot. I'll try my best.
You're giving it a shot.
I put my trust in AVRL there, yeah.
Have a star in his eye at least.
Do you think all of us could beat up one wolf? A full-grown one?
Honestly,
I think
6
one,
people,
maybe
6
2
on 1
wolves,
is
no.
good odds. 6
Like
on
that
1 is
alpha
pretty good
wolf,
odds.
though, like the big dog.
Dude, we could take him. We could take him.
Honestly,
I
it
think I
probably
would
runs.
be screwed.
It probably runs. It probably knows it's outnumbered and it runs, even if it's a big boy. So,
Yeah, they're kind of smart.
but to fight to the death, I think 6v1 we could do it.
Yeah, we got.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
6v1 for
Yeah,
sure.
we got
Yeah.
it.
That feels a bit rude. But
I'd be
1-on-1,
sad
I
if we
think we
didn't.
lose. So.
I'd be
Definitely.
disappointed in us if we lost that.
Yeah,
Together.
no, we're not. We're not losing that.
That's a
No
big
way.
L for humanity. It's to lose 6v1 against the wolf. Yeah.
Yeah. That was actually not Jake's real question, though. The real question was, who is on your perma ban list when hero bans come to Overwatch Ranked? So I guess for this one, we can make the rounds. Who is your first pick ban when hero bans comes to Overwatch? Let's start with you, Ocie.
It's got to be Hog or Lifeweaver. I think just get rid of the Lifeweaver. Get rid of the Lifeweaver so that way my own team can play it, because that makes my life so much easier. But like,
Good play.
yeah, no, seriously, it's just in ranked. I mean, but if I know my teammates are humans, but you don't know because you don't know who you're playing with. But like, let's assume teammates are good, then probably just Hog because it's annoying and I can force Winston.
Is Lifeweaver's a better ban than Mercy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so.
Rack, you're making a face.
I don't know. I just feel like I guess I just literally haven't seen a Lifeweaver in like months. So like I don't know. I feel like he's better than Mercy though. He has to be better than Mercy. But then also I think like the skill floor, like there's a troll floor. Like the skill ceiling of trolling is like, yeah. See, like you could do that to your team.
Hilarious.
The skill ceiling of trolling your team is so high.
Dante, what do you think?
It probably depends, like if I'm actually trying or not. Like I would just ban the counters and stuff. Like if I'm one tricking Doomfist, I'm just banning Sombra the whole day. But I'll probably ban Kiriko. Kiriko's too dishonest. Suzu is broken. 2 TPs. Like why does she have 2? She has 2 TPs with a perk. Like stop. Get that away from me.
Yeah, well, we'll get to it later, but I was a bit surprised they didn't touch a couple of the perks when they dropped the balance update. So All right, it seems like we got a lot of Life Weaver, some Kiriko from Dante. I'd throw in Mercy there as well, but I think it was Spilo who tweeted the other day that there was like a pick rates chart, and you're right, there actually isn't a lot of like Mercy Life Weaver these days. Like most people just play Ana because like Ana is the most favorite character, so there isn't that much Life Weaver Mercy.
I ban Mercy just because I don't want to play into it, and I don't like playing with it on my team either. It's just, I don't know. I'm low rank, so Mercy's ruined my games constantly, so I'm happy to ban Mercy.
I feel like playing into Mercy feels so good though. You just go like a good character. You go like a flanker, or if you're playing tank, you go like Ball or Winston or anything, and you're just so rabbing. Yeah, I'm like, oh my god, thank God they have a Mercy. The game is winnable.
I feel the opposite as a well, you play dive tanks, but I play like brawl tanks.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like I almost want to queue up with like a speed support. Like if I can find like a Lucio or Juno main, I'm like, let's just duo because you enable me. So I like having the speed heroes on my team. And there's a Mercy, I'm like, oh, I gotta go Sigma or I don't know.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Like I hate playing with Mercy, but against Mercy, wow, I love that.
All right, let's actually get into the
You didn't even ask me what I would ban. It's all good though.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
It's all good.
Chime in. What?
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I would definitely ban Torb though. Fuck Torb.
Oh,
that's so fair.
DPS reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Apply. I was actually very intrigued to hear your Torb answer there, so I really appreciate it. Thank you. That was quite insightful. Okay, let's talk about what actually got released in the mid-season patch, or Freja is not released, but we did get to do a bit of a playtest. I watched Apply stream this morning, woke up, put it on the TV, had my coffee, and Apply was watching a montage, just watching his own highlights, playing Freja. You also got some tweets going around Apply. You love this character, so
I do.
Why don't you just kick us off here? Like, what do you think about Freja? How's Freja to play?
I mean, I think she's the best character they've made in a long time. Like, I think she has the most skill expression out of any character they've released like in a minute. I think most people share the same sentiment too. I mean, I'm curious if they're gonna change her from now till release. I don't know what they're gonna change about her, but all I know is that I had a lot of fun on her. I saw a couple of Dante clips too.
Oh, really?
And that's like one in a montage, I think.
Dude, that's awesome. I loved like the movement on her. She feels so good. She feels so fluid when you're in the air and stuff. I feel like people are gonna be insane. Like when you watch Stalker or Proper in a few weeks, it's gonna be insane.
Oh, dude, I wish it was enabled for OWCS the land, but it's okay. We'll get there eventually.
Okay, I lied in 2 months.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, who do you expect to be like the best Freja to everyone?
I think it'll
in
probably
the pro
be
scene?
Flex DPS that play hit scan. Because I feel like the movement on her is pretty unique, and I don't know how good traditional hit scans will be with the character.
She's fully projectile, right? So
yeah,
we gotta see like Lambda on her.
Oh yeah, I guess she is
honestly
full projectile, but she's kind of like
Lambda's
Hanzo.
flying.
But what do you play with her though? Is like the real question, because if it just depends, like what the second DPS is on who's gonna play it. Really, I have no clue what's good with her. Really.
I think it'd probably be a flanker. I think you need some sort of flanker presence.
So you can finish the kills there. You know, it's just like hitting a rail shot. You know, a Tracer can follow up, especially Genji. I think Freya Genji was what I was thinking would be pretty good because like you're talking like I think she's gonna be good at maps like you know, King's Row, right, where you can kind of like sit up in areas. Like I feel like Freya's the closest to Ashe in terms of where you're playing it. I think it's the same places you'd want to play Ashe over like Sojourn. So like on those maps, I think the Genji would pair pretty well.
Yeah, and the question is like, would you play Freya over Sojourn though? Like, in what situations would you pick Freya over Sojourn?
I think it's those King's Road maps, you know?
Yeah, just verticality,
just when you don't need as much horizontal movement, you know? And that's why like teams will go Ashe. Like you'll see the Koreans always go Ashe there instead of the Soj, and it's just that's why.
Her vertical movement's much better, more liberal. So like, yeah, I think on like super vertical maps, any sort of major high ground advantage.
Yeah,
but
her perks are sick.
I don't know if she's really going to get played over Soj that much. I still think Soj is like rail is more consistent, but you don't get it as often. You can't just spam it as much as you can with her right click, the Freya right click. But and also Soj's ultimate's probably still better. I think the ball shot's not nearly as good as that. So I don't think she'll get playtime over Soj necessarily, but we'll see what happens.
I don't know if Custo was trolling me or not, but he was in my chat the other day, and I was like, "Are you guys gonna change Freya before she released?" And he said she's getting buffed, so I guess we'll see. I can't tell.
Oh my god!
I don't know if bro was
Buff?
trolling me, but I guess we'll see what happens.
Let's go with the troll. Let's go with the
She
troll for
need a
now.
buff? I thought she was already really good. Like,
Nah,
I
she's
feel like
really
the ult is a
strong.
little weak though. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
it
a
might
little
be the
worried about
ult.
that.
If anything, they might change ult. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
the ults, it reminds me of Dragon Strike with Hanzo. Like it reminds me a lot of the Hanzo situation where a lot of teams, especially like in 5v5, once it's like, okay, 1/5 of our ult, economy is now just an ult that isn't going to do a lot. It's like worse Pulse Bomb, to be honest, because Pulse Bomb, at least like, with enough skill expression, you can land that. And then once you land it, it's harder to avoid. With this, it's just ranged Pulse Bomb. Now it's like ranged and you have a big wind up and everything. So like a D.Va can just eat it even easier than like a Lari ult, to be honest. It's way harder to control. You have less control over it.
Yeah. She's
but-
extremely
but-
squishy too.
the passive, you got to deal with the passive. Like, you can't, if you buff the ult, you have to change how quickly she gets ult, because she gets
Yeah.
it way too fast.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mind buffing the ult, but then they go, I don't like the passive. I actually think they should buff the ult, but remove the passive. I'm not a fan of it just like boosting the ult charge speed by that much. It just feels unnatural. It feels like it breaks the normal pacing and the tempo of the game too much.
Yeah, it's hard to track the ult as well if that's the case, because you can't really tell when they get final blows. It's always have ult up.
Yeah.
Going back a little bit, I think what they're gonna do, even if the win rate's like 50% right now, I think they're still gonna buff her to where she's like perma-picked for the first few months, because I think she's a really cool design, and they
Yeah,
want
I hope
heroes like
so.
this to be meta and like change the game a lot. So I think they're gonna make her OP, and she's gonna be perma-picked.
It's what they've done
can see that.
historically, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
like you're looking at the past few releases, like Juno
I
was like
mean-
hard meta for quite some time.
Life Weaver?
I
Okay,
think
that's
no,
like-
it's
that's like
okay,
far
okay,
away.
okay.
Well, they
It's
just
okay.
designed a
The
bad
thing is-
character.
the
They
thing
just had
is
a bad idea.
Every character since Life Weaver
Alari?
has been broken.
Yeah.
Venture,
think they just
Lari,
kinda
Life. It's
messed
like
up with
three heroes that just were not meta on
Wait,
release.
wasn't
I mean.
Alaria hard meta when she came out?
Yeah, she
a
was.
little
She was
bit,
hard
yeah.
meta.
Yeah, she
Was
was like
she?
hard meta. It was like Sig comp.
Yeah.
It was like Sig
Okay.
Alari.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sig
And then they
Alari.
nerfed her after like a month, but yeah, I guess Venture and Life Weaver weren't that great.
Yeah.
But I don't know, the character design is too good not to make her OP. Like they
Yeah.
want her to be OP. She's really cool, super unique.
No, Venture was still good after release. It just took them a second to figure out how to use Venture. Remember, they figured out the
yeah.
Malcolm, the Venture Genji, and then that was Dallas meta. That was, and then after that, they started nerfing Venture actually.
What-
So no, Venture was good. They just didn't figure it out.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, like, I don't think heroes get released OP on purpose.
Hmm.
Is what I'm trying to say.
Really?
Safe
I
side
think
of
so.
strong,
I
I think
think
was the
so.
quote from Alec. Safe
What
side of
about
strong,
Brig?
and I feel like they've done this, like, I mean, they do this in like all kinds of games, like dating back like 10 years. Like League of Legends notoriously like released OP heroes. Because, well, I guess for League of Legends, they wanted people to buy like the cosmetics and like buy the hero and stuff, right? But Overwatch doesn't allow that. But still, I think you're right that they want
You
Freya
still
to be
want to
good.
see you want to see the new character they put all the work into like
Yeah.
right away. Like
Yeah.
if it's just like dusted over and just like thrown under the bus, like no one's gonna see the new character.
Yeah.
Rak, you mentioned that you think Labda could be strong on this hero.
I
And I guess that kind of makes...
I was thinking about it because you were saying like, oh, flex DPS, and I was like, okay, this character flies, is a flex DPS, and he's been playing Sojourn a ton. So put all three of those together, and I want to see how he does it on. Is it gonna be out? No, it's gonna be out right after the major.
Yeah,
actually.
April 22nd. Yeah, literally right after.
Yeah. So I guess we
Yeah.
want to see it for the major, but I could see someone like him doing really good on it.
All right. So it seems like we think that Freya is balanced right now. Like we don't think Freya is like too strong, considering that you
Safe
mentioned that
side is
Sojourn.
strong.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned that
Yeah.
Sojourn probably gets picked over Freya,
Yeah.
like in some scenarios.
If
So it
Sojourn
depends on the
did
meta.
that-
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was people were playing in FPL, like it was unlocked in FPL, but people were also just mirroring it, so
Yeah.
no one could
Just to
tell.
play it. Yeah.
Yeah, they just wanted to like see what it was.
Was she good in FPL?
Yeah, I mean
Yeah, Tree's pretty good at her,
the Freyas were like always having like max damage on your team, like getting pissed.
There's so
and
much
stuff like that.
uptime. Like
Yeah.
very rarely do you have to back up because of your movement, and especially when you get like both perks, you can stay in the fight for so long.
You
What
can also
perks did he
slow their
pick?
tank.
I think most FPL players started getting the updraft one to get the extra dash, but I think both have a use. Like
And
the
That's the
everyone-
other one.
Everyone
other
takes a
one-
slow on the first perk?
yeah. I think
Yeah.
you have to get the slow on the first one. Yeah.
So the minor perks are there's frost bolts, which after 3 regular bolts you slow them for 20%, and then critical health enemies are revealed to you. And then the major perks are updraft, grants a temporary free use of quick dash, and direct hits with take aim refund for automatic bolts ammo. So either you get more primary fire ammo or you get that extra updraft dash, which gives you a bolt, I suppose. So sounds fairly balanced. I mean, the slow, how strong did you say? I mean, everyone picks the slow, right? Because no one really wants enemies
If you
revealed.
get the major perk that's not the updraft one, and you can have like infinite ammo if you hit your right clicks, the slow can be really like oppressive on tanks. You can
Do you
just
care
burn
about the
slow
primary
them.
fire? Do you think primary fire is strong?
Yeah, I think
it's pretty
so. I think it's really
I think it's
strong.
pretty balanced.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just thinking because Sojourn,
It's
like-
kind of similar to like the way Ash works, where you like weave in like right clicks and left clicks in between each other and not really focus on one. I think you do both.
Yeah. What I notice is when you, I don't think the primary is that insane until you get the first perk when you can slow them. Then I feel like I use it so
Yeah.
much, especially against tanks. Like you just slow their walk up, it's so insane. Any brawl tank gets really punished by it.
And then I guess finally, curious about the ult. You mentioned the ult, not super strong. Did you guys find any way that you did use the ult? Anyways, you did like pre-fight, like get picks? Did you have like aim for the back line?
I mean, like AVRL said, like it builds so fast because of the passive. I think the best way is to just use it. Like definitely don't like save onto it. I just spam it because you can build it so fast, especially if you get a kill with the ult. It like gives you the bounty again, so you get the ult charge from getting kills with the ult. So yeah, just spamming it, almost like pulse bomb.
Yeah, I literally
Yeah.
used it in a one fight just to show people how fast I got it.
Yeah.
Like, damn,
It
30 second
actually-
ult, okay.
It reminds me of a BAP window almost, only it can be even faster than that. But yeah, it's like it's also interesting because it could be a positive thing, even like when you're talking professional play, because we do have a lot of like very ultimate heavy based metas, and it's kind of exciting to have maybe a character in there that isn't just pure okay, let's farm the ult and then get the ult. And I think that is something nice to have. Yeah, so I think it's fine if the ultimate is weak as long as she's able to make up for that, right? But you are competing against Bob, you're competing against Overclock. It's going to be difficult.
Yeah, I mean, ults are everything in Overwatch, right? For the most part. So you're saying that like if you have an ultimate, you can build faster, but isn't quite as valuable. Maybe that's a nice change of pace from like freaking orbital ray. You drop out orbital ray and just
Yeah.
walk, and then you just kind of auto win a fight. At least that was how it was for quite some time.
It's just
so.
weird for the pacing of the game, and I think it's
Yeah.
like, in my opinion, not good in terms of breaking the pacing of the game that hard. And also, I don't think it's fun to have a weak ult. It's like, yeah, I get a lot of weak ults, but is it really that fun? Like, I would rather have a stronger ult that you get less often.
I will say
Well,
from a
it's
viewer
cool, right?
perspective, it looks awesome though, because like you can see like the Freya go for it, and if you have a good team, they follow up on it. It's like you have a mini grab like every like one fight. It looks really fun from a like spectator POV.
Yeah, and if you hit a big one, you get like a 2K, 3K.
Yeah.
Like the own highlights, you watch it yourself, apply, go back to that. Like, you got a couple of 2Ks, 3Ks there. It looked pretty clean.
Yeah.
It looked fun. Yeah.
It's fun to use. The projectile is really cool to use.
Okay, I think we're all excited about Freya. I
Yeah.
did want to set up one more conversation around Freya here now, because this is something everyone has kind of briefly spent some time talking about. But these modern heroes, like the most recent Overwatch 2 heroes, their kits are just awesome. And I think Freya is another one of those heroes that, like, it just, like you said, feels amazing to play. The way you levitate in the air, aim down sights, everything is so satisfying. But then you compare it, Reinhardt main speaking, the original heroes, and I think Hanzo is a pretty decent comparison here now. Now, Hanzo plays a little bit different from Freya, of course, different use case, but Hanzo's kit is very basic, dare I say, compared to Freya. So I kind of just wanted to, get a conversation go and ask your opinion. Do you think they should look to rework maybe some of these classic heroes that have pretty basic kits compared to the modern ones, or do you think they should just like leave them as is? So, Hanzo, for example, would you like to see Hanzo get a bit of a touch up, or should it just leave these old heroes and focus on new ones?
Isn't that what they've been trying to do the whole time? Like, they recently just stopped doing the Reaper rework because they realized they couldn't do it. They would remember when they teased they were going to do a Reaper rework, and then they dropped it.
Yeah, they were like,
I don't
nah,
Yeah.
couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, like they've been trying to rework the old heroes since forever. And I agree. I think a lot of the old heroes feel super outdated, but clearly it's a major like undertaking, and it's very hard for them to rework because they just can't do them very quickly. And if they do them, it's like here's a pig pen for Hog. You know what I mean? So it's like really hard to do the reworks.
Yeah, I think perks could be a great way to make older heroes feel a lot newer without changing their core like mechanics. Maybe Hanzo could see cooler perks than the ones he has now, or just something different. They just gave him Scatter Arrow again.
Personally, I don't hate it because I think having those characters it's good for new players that are getting into the game. That like imagine a new player trying to play Echo versus playing Reaper. It's like let the new player play Reaper, get to learn the game more, and then go to the harder heroes to play. Because I think you have to think about like the whole player base, and I think it's beneficial.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the perks is like something that they could probably like look into for like some of the more simple characters. Like they gave Reaper a right click. Like, that's kind of cool. Like it's a cool little thing, and like Hanzo can hack hacks. Like that's like a little change, but like I don't know how far they could rework, like do like a full like Symmetra type or Torb rework and stuff like that.
Yeah, because you'd have to change his entire like weapon mechanic and stuff like that. It would just like fully change the hero too much in terms of identity, and you can't really do that without killing the hero. Which is why like everyone is like, oh, we got to just like rework Widow completely. Like if you do that, the entire identity of the hero is gone. So that's like a huge problem.
Yeah.
One cool one that I liked was I was actually our academy team was playing Winthrop's Academy, and they're like doing a little LAN, and one of our players ironically is Kiss My Junk, the Junkrat player. he just goes here like he's always been here, and he picks like the second major Junkrat perk, which is like you lose a bullet, but like your gun shoots like a direct line and stuff. And he's like, yeah, like it was confusing at first, but then like now I can just dual sojourns all of a sudden. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
That is kind of crazy.
Is there any hero that you kind of like would want to see something for though, or do you think that perks are just kind of like because like even Scatter Arrow for Hanzo is quite nice, and a few of these heroes have some interesting perks. So I guess there's nothing that really comes to mind now.
Without wanting to open up a major can of worms, I'm gonna bang on the Mercy drum a little, one more time.
Yeah.
But,
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I'm not gonna open it up, man. I'm not gonna
I don't want to just turn into like a 4-hour discussion on Mercy. Is all I'm saying. But
I got
yes,
the time.
it would be
I don't know
Mercy
about
for me.
you.
I like mass res on ult. That actually be cool.
Do it.
That'd be so fun.
Dude, you are so toxic, Dante. You
What's
said
toxic about that? That's
yeah,
smart.
it is toxic because it's awful for the game.
What if you just brought back the Mercy, like the Valk Mercy, where like if you ult, you get another res or like an insta res?
Why do we want that? That sounds awful.
Because then she might be played.
Why do we
No,
want
because
more
the thing
Resurrect?
I don't want her to be played.
I like Mercy personally.
I don't hate
Mercy's so
Mercy
bad in
either.
5v5 actually.
I genuinely-
It does need something.
But like it's the same thing with Life Weaver. It's like the game has just kind of gotten to a point where if you don't output, you're bad. Like that character is just bad, and like the player is just bad.
Just give her
It's just
output
like-
then. Give her some output that's
Give her a
not
gun.
more reses.
Yeah, but Dante
Yeah,
said
honestly,
it like
give her a gun. Give her a gun.
Dante
Seriously.
said it in the beginning. Like she just makes the backline so shit, like constantly.
Yeah.
Like you just play any comp and the Mercy becomes useless.
It's
Yeah,
just a
but
big
in-
liability
but-
against
but-
like half the heroes
Yeah,
in the game.
she's a huge liability.
But for the rest of the 90% of the play base in Plat, she's like super annoying. When you see a Mercy on the other team, it's like, oh great, nothing's dying now. And if we do miraculously get a kill, it's gonna get res. That's how it feels. That's how it feels playing against
I
Mercy
wonder
at
how
low
it would
ranks.
change if they actually like hard buffed her gun, just made it like crazy.
What if they just give her like a
Yeah, like if it was like Zen or something, like if she just did insane amount of damage. That should be
just
fun.
give her like a flashbang. Like a brimstone. Just like a brimstone, like a concussive grenade, and you just throw it out. So that when they dive you. I don't
Oh
know,
my
some
God.
survivability.
That is crazy.
I think there was was Mercy available during the spotlight for Stadium? You
Yeah, she was.
I don't
Doesn't-
remember.
didn't
Wait,
Mercy
for
have
Stadium?
like
I
some
never-
Valk thing
I never
that like
played it, but
No,
Okay.
I don't. Wait, was she in Stadium?
yeah, she was. I remember.
Okay.
I remember,
I don't know that at all.
remember.
But I think Mercy had some interesting perks you could buy in Stadium that like really changed the way you could like,
Yeah,
you could do like a
I was-
Valk build or something like that. So they got the inspiration if they want to cook, but yeah, I get it. I feel the same. I did say they did that in AMA, the Overwatch devs, Costa, Alec Kenny, and I was like, hey, like, would you ever consider introducing perks that like increase the skill ceiling of some of these heroes, like hinting at Mercy, like, hey, can we change up Mercy with perks? And Costa didn't respond.
Oh,
Because they're just kind of ignored it. I was like, all right, didn't want to touch the Mercy topic. I see how
I
it
like
is.
to imagine that Custa is the only Blizzard employee now, and I just like yell at him for everything or praise him for everything every time.
I
he
did
finds
see the
that.
patch notes, and I was like, great job, Scott. Great job.
Yeah, I think.
All right. So that's Freya for you. Good conversation. I want to shift things towards 66. And this, talking about kind of worms, Avril. Here we go. We got goats, which I think will kind of like separate goats from the actual open queue 66. Ocie is having some internet issues, by the way, so Ocie can come back. But if she doesn't, then sorry, Ocie. So let's talk about open queue. Avril, you had a tweet. Hawk and Derpy has been on the been tweeting as well. I feel like we have two camps. It's not too surprising. There's some 5v5ers. Apply. You've been out there with the YouTube titles about how good 6v6 is. And so let's kind of crack open this kind of worms and just take a look. Just take a look. Apply. Kicking off with you again. What's it like playing 6v6 open queue? How much are you enjoying it?
I mean, as a DPS player, I think 6v6 is just better because of the. I mean, it's everyone has the same opinion for 6v6. I hate the raid boss tank. Like, I just don't find it fun to play against. I think it's like the least fun gameplay loop that we've like seen like ever. Just shoot the tank in the middle the whole time. And obviously it's different for pro. There's other ways to play when you're like in a controlled environment. But in ranked, it really does turn into like a glorified 1v1. It's abysmal.
Anyone else? Dante, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think especially at the high level pro play, like top 500, the rush mirrors are super boring. I feel like every single meta has been the same in Overwatch too. It's just like take an angle, play slow, play to poke their tank out, and play for an ult. And that's like basically the game. I mean, tank never dies. But then when you play like the 6v6, tanks will just explode. And it feels like not bad as a tank player because you actually get punished harder for mistakes. It's not like just like a small snowball that like your team loses resource war. Like you actually just die. And playing DPS in that, it feels really good too. Like I could play Echo, and Echo is actually good in 6v6. Like Echo Mercy, you can actually play Mercy. You can play these Mercy comps, and it's not like you're like not upset about it. So I think it's been a lot more fun.
Yeah, one thing I noticed that the Overwatch 2 tank players cannot play 6v6. They do not know what, they do not. I mean, they don't know what it's like to not have infinite HP. Like I see them walk out of main, like take so much poke and die instantly. Like those are like Overwatch 1 things that you had to learn to avoid spam damage and like, you know, take certain routes or way to play. But they just don't know how. They just walk straight, walk up main, take so much damage, start the fight half HP, and just lose.
So Avril, I think here's what we're gonna glaze 6v6 first, and then you can chime in when maybe you feel like it. But sure. I will actually say I used to be a 5v5er. I used to be a 5v5er, probably like dating back to like 12 months ago, and I was like, I don't see it. I don't get the appeal of 6v6. Overwatch Classic came out. I was like, Overwatch Classic is dog. Like this just sucks. And then I think it was like around the third 6v6 test or something like that, which might have been proper 2-2, I think. I started to get some hope, and I started to kind of, I don't want to say see the light because I don't think we've determined yet if this is the light, but I started to get the appeal, and it kind of like hooked me back in. And I think with this mode now, I'm finally at the stage where I'm not willing to say that I think 6v6 is better than 5v5, but I genuinely love having it in the game. I love queuing 6v6, and I think part of the appeal is for me that I'm not like super try hard. You know, I'm not trying to go pro anymore. That is long gone. But I love queuing, open queue.
Gone.
Yeah, shut up. I love queuing in and just like chilling. And I think the fact that I have like a second tank to kind of like help me out, the tank duo is like so welcoming for me. I feel like I have like full responsibility for my team. If I'm trying to do one thing and my team tries to do another thing, because again, I'm not a pro anymore. But like, I feel like me and the other tank, we kind of sync up and we take some responsibility each, whereas like one tank has the full responsibility for the entire front line or the full dive or whatever. And so I feel like two members complementing each other just feels way more natural. And then, you know, like you said, apply as well, where like the survivability part, I don't feel like I lost a ton because there is that second tank backing me up. We're backing up each other. So I don't feel like I lost a ton of like survivability because we can always protect each other and take care of each other and stuff like that. So if I'm just starting up the stream and I want to chill and play some Overwatch, sometimes I just go to the 66 open queue. Like it's genuinely like so relaxing. And I queue into a game, two people pick tank, and I'm like, great, I'll just play Juno, or something. I'll chill, play a different role, right? It's really relaxing and a different way to enjoy Overwatch. So I've really been enjoying it. What about you, Rak? Have you been playing it?
I definitely enjoy it, and I agree. Like, I was talking to one of my friends about it, who's like not even like at that high of a rank anymore, but like he's just like, yeah, 6v6, you can play your role, and because there's 6 people, like you can just kind of play your role, and you don't have to like play perfectly every time. It's like, if you're an off tank, you have off tank duties, and like you don't have to perfectly play perfect as tank, or else you die and like the fight's over. It's just like you can queue up. I like flexing. Okay, sometimes I get annoyed when I have to play tank, but like sometimes I'll play triple support, I'll play Widow, like I'll play anything, and it's like fun just being able to queue and just, I don't know, a new experience every game almost.
Yeah.
Also, Lucio's boop is broken right now, and it's really fun.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so nice being able to boop tanks like on fair and stuff. But I really like the flexing part. Like if I'm just not feeling like tank or something, I'll just go tracer or something. And it's like, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah, I missed that. I forgot.
Like, I played 2 roles, so
That's Dante's advantage right there.
yeah, it's so nice. Like I'll play Zarya and then I'll go tracer.
I can't do that. So people are like, no, don't go tracer.
Yeah.
I forgot what flexing was like. Like it's been role lock for so long. I forgot being able to like just swap off the role and play whatever.
I am curious to see like if they bring in role queue, how it's gonna work. Because I feel like every game right now, like there's always 2 tanks. But like if they make it role queue, I don't know how many people are gonna queue tank.
Yeah, I like how fast the queues are too, and I also like that 3 support doesn't even seem too bad. Like Kiriko can kind of just play like a DPS in those comps, and it's like I think it wouldn't be awful because support players have a lot of options now. Like before, you played like Zen.
Also in Overwatch 2,
like those are the only options.
Sorry to interrupt, but Overwatch 2, it like the supports have more going for them than in Overwatch 1, right? And so you could see some damage players being like, "Oh, I'll swap over to support because there's like Kiriko or something like that if they really wanted to, right?" So
I miss metas like that. In Overwatch 1, you had a meta where your flex support was on Roadhog sometimes, or like random things like that, and those were good times. I feel like open queue could open up a lot more for like just player flexibility. I don't know, like you said, like a DPS player could start playing support, and now that the supports have more going for them, you can just play Ilari triple support or something.
The Junkertown, the OG Junkertown, the Hog Diva Widow.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, your flex support on Roadhog.
I have a question for Rak and Apply. My teammates, like I haven't played 5v5 at all, but they were saying the 5v5 queue is like really long now. Have you guys noticed this? I don't know if you guys have queued it at all, but
I've heard it's like a little bit worse. Honestly, everyone's just queuing 6v6, I think. Like I was talking to UV and he's like, yeah, I just want to play 6v6. Like
how long is the 6v6 queue?
That's our whole
not long at all.
Like so
unless you're like
it depends when you play, but most of the time it's pretty short. I wonder, like you said, UV only wants to play 6v6 and your teammates are only playing 6v6 too. I wonder, like, do we think that the pro scene could go to 6v6 again? I don't know how likely that would be.
I think we should save that. I want to get Ocie and AVRL involved here as well, and just hear Ocie and AVRL's thoughts here as well about if they played it and how they enjoyed it.
I got a crazy theory for later then.
All right. I'm excited to hear your theory, Rak.
All right, Ocie, AVRL, and you played 6v6 open queue. Do you enjoy it?
I've been playing it every day after China and like after my co-streams, and I really feel like I've enjoyed it a lot more as a tank player, honestly, because back when I was like a player, I played off tank and then I switched to main tank because my team couldn't find an off tank player, so I played both. And one thing that changed in 5v5, I feel like, is Diva's playstyle and also Ball's playstyle. Both of them like play very differently. Ball is somewhat similar. Diva's just straight up different. And Diva plays like off-brand Winston, kind of like anti-Brawl Winston. I don't know how to explain it. And it's kind of boring. In 5v5, I can't lie. I think Diva in 6v6 is the most like exhilarating experience. There's so much to eat. There's so many off angles you can take. You can take flanks. You get punished a lot easier, but I find that to be a lot more fun. Same thing with the 6v6 Ball. I feel like I can like you go on pure like alone angles, especially if you get a Tracer going, you get a Zen going. It becomes really fun. The one here that I feel like weirdly enough, feels better in 5v5 as Winston. Winston feels so much better in 5v5. I feel like Winston is just like one of my favorites to play in 5v5, but 6v6, like Ball and D.Va both feel so much better, and I've really enjoyed that. Ram, for some reason, is also like really good with like Zarya and D.Va. So there's some like interesting compositions kind of appearing in 6v6. I found that very interesting and, you know, fun to play as well.
Yeah. I think Zarya is insane in 6v6, but
Oh, yeah.
Zarya in 5v5, it just feels like she doesn't have a place in 5v5.
Yeah, she has no place.
Yeah.
Even though Zarya was like ranked meta, seems like for I don't know if that's right, but I heard that I heard Zarya was really good past month or so, but I don't know. AVRL, what about your 66 experience?
I love it. No further thoughts. No, here we go. Let's do this then. Let's fucking do this. Let me sit up. Let me belt up. Let me get ready. Okay, here we go. Here we go. First and foremost, I actually think 626 is actually good. I think people think for some reason, because I said this on Twitter, because I'm the one dude, I won't say the word I use on Twitter because this is a family broadcast, you know, and I don't want, there's a lot of children in the Plat Chat right now, so I don't want to get their parents involved. But, yeah, I'm like the one guy on Twitter that's just not like hard like glazing 6v6. And that's not because I don't like it. It's just because like, I think it's fine, but it's not for me. It's purely an opinion preference thing where I've tried both. I've played both. I played all through Overwatch 1, played all through Overwatch 2, and I just prefer 5v5. I just simply prefer it. Now, I can go into all the reasons why I prefer it. I'm sure we will do that eventually, but I prefer it. And people seem to have this position where if I just say I prefer it, I don't think it's anyone in this panel, right? But I'm just like on the internet in general, the people that are really in 6v6 camp.
Who was it? Was it Derpy?
Maybe.
Who came after
I'm not going to name...
Okay.
Just all sorts of people. I'm not going to start internet beef here with anyone in particular.
Oh yeah.
But there's a lot of people that will come after me and just be like, "Oh, this guy just hates 6v6." Like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I prefer 5v5. There's a difference, guys. There's a difference between hating 6v6 and preferring 5v5. But people assume that if you prefer 5v5, you must be like a devil spawn hell incarnate. You just hate 6v6, right? It's just like the weirdest thing.
They are very passionate, AVRL. They have their game was taken away from them.
People from the 6v6. I don't give a crap. That's not my problem. People from the 6v6 side are very mad and very angry, super sensitive, defensive about the whole conversation. And it's really annoying and it makes it very hard to engage in the conversation. Because if I want to engage on it from like a very good faith perspective of, hey, I just prefer 5v5, you know, really it should be fine. Really what I'm saying is like, I think both should be in the game. You should play the one that you prefer. And that's all it should be. Like that's the full entire take if we want to really boil it down to something. But right. I feel like I'm not allowed to have that take.
I'm sorry if I slandered you. Or...
I feel like I'm not allowed to have that take. I feel like I'm a crazy person. Like if I say like, oh, hey, I think both should be in the game and some people prefer 5v5, people just like hardcore come after me like, whoa, chill the fuck. What are we doing here right now? It's like, what? Like people treat it like, oh no, we should kill 5v5. And if you play 5v5, then go fuck yourself. You know, that's how I get treated on the internet. So insane. It's like, dude, I think both should be in the game. But a lot of people I encounter on the internet think 5v5 should be just killed off, and anyone who likes 5v5 should just quit the game.
Yeah.
All right.
It's crazy, dude. It's crazy.
That's fair too. I mean, I think as a few critiques, I think the first thing I do think it should be role queue. I do enjoy role queue more. I think there's a lot of moments where I've been playing the competitive 6v6 and it's like, it gets on my nerves a little bit when people just play things that don't make any sense. I'm solo tanking, whatever. That happens when you're lower, and they also based it on open queue rank. So I've been like grinding from gold. It started me in gold when I went 9-1 in placements, and now I've been like, on stream I go like 24-3, and it'll be like, okay, this isn't too much fun. At the start, it was definitely rough. But, even then, the stance I've always taken on the debate was 6v6 and 5v5. And I feel like more people should kind of like be willing to sit in the middle is, I don't really care if it's 5v5 or 6v6. I just like Overwatch.
Yep, I agree.
I really like Overwatch. I like, nothing. I don't think, if we just kill 5v5 and go to 6v6, I am going to miss Winston in 5v5. I think Winston comps in 5v5 are so fun. I think in 6v6, there's experiences with Ball and D.Va and the D.Va off tank. I mean, that's so fun to me as well. I think both are super fun to me no matter what. I'm going to cover the game no matter what. I think I'm going to love it.
Dude, I placed Plat and I loved placing Plat. It was so fun.
It was kind of fun.
Just sitting and observing. Oh my gosh, this has been so much fun.
I got so many comp points from climbing from Plat.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Well, that's
I got
fair,
like
actually.
500.
Wait, that's
maybe
amazing.
worth it.
And then
Farming compost.
it's interesting to see like how much the players get better between like Diamond and Masters, because I feel like the games are pretty derpy like from Plat to Diamond, but then all of a sudden you're in Masters games and it's like a big step up. That's what I noticed. Like people shoot back a lot.
Yeah,
So-
I just hit Masters.
Yeah, no, the games definitely feel a lot more real once you're in Masters. Like it gets a lot faster pace. It's fun.
Looking forward
Okay.
to it.
That's
Before-
that's
Yeah, so go on, Albert.
that's part of the issue. Is like I play at I play Plat as well, but Plat is probably like around my real rank, maybe Diamond, right? I don't play the game super often, so like I play from like a actual low rank. I'm not gonna be a GM player smurfing a Plat like, oh, this is so good, or anything like that. And I think the gameplay is also just really different. Where like I think if you're playing at a high level and people know how to play the game and people are generally just better at the game, it's a better experience. I've always explained 6v6 is having high highs and low lows. I do think the highs are much higher. When the game works and you roll the RNG dice in low ranks, sometimes the game works. Sometimes everyone picks the right heroes. People are actually like trying properly and they generally know what they're doing and the game kind of works. Like, yeah, this is a good experience. I had some good games in 6v6. I did have some good games in 6v6. A lot of those, though, have to come from me ensuring that we were going to play the correct comp. It's open queue, right? So I go in, I can flex. I just choose to flex between all three roles to like sort of get a feel for how it feels on all three roles in 6v6. And just because I normally flex all three roles even in 5v5 anyway, just because I get too bored of like one role, one hero. So, you know, I just play whatever. But I have to be the guy a lot of times, is the guy willing to flex to ensure that we actually get a good composition. Because if I don't, then we're not going to pick the right tanks. We're not going to have the Diva or the Zarya, the off tank required. And people don't talk enough about this, the off tank requirement. Like you kind of need to have the right tank duo. Everyone wants to talk about tank synergy, but no one wants to talk about the fact that tank synergy only exists if you pick the correct tanks. If you pick the wrong tanks, then that just doesn't exist at all. It's the fact that the low lows are so low below the lows of 5v5 in my personal opinion, that it's just like, it's gross when you get down there. And that happens a lot more often at ranks I play in. If you're like a GM player plus, you probably don't find that many low moments where like, man, our team is just doing like completely insane things and picking such insanely bad heroes and like just not even working together. Whereas that's like a normal game in Plat or Gold or whatever. It's just the low lows for me happen so often in 6v6 is infuriating. And it gets exacerbated in 6v6 in my opinion. So I mean I can go on and on and on, but I just feel like the real, you know, middle rank, real dredges, real peasant experience that I experienced in 6v6 is just so bad.
I mean, I think first of all, I think that's a legit point, because when we talk about the success of Overwatch, we need to keep in mind that, you know, a large majority of players are actually in like, you know, bronze, silver, gold, plat. Some people play on console. Apparently, some people play on Switch. But the point is that like it needs to be enjoyable for the most amount of people possible, right? It, you know, as much as some of us here, we're in like top 500 games and we're really enjoying it because it makes sense and the compositions and the highs are really high, like you talked about. And I agree with you, Avram. I think the highs are really high. But also, I think when you have the conversation about should this become the permanent mode, the permanent competitive mode, then I think you really have to discuss the experience when you play in lower ranks as well. And look, I don't know what's going on down there. I can't say I have too much insight, but I do think that when you have the conversation, you need to be honest about that stuff. So I agree with you, Avro. So apply Rack, Dante. Do you kind of feel the tank picking synergy issue at all? Do you agree with like the high highs and the low lows? Like where do you kind of fall on that? How 66 is different from 5v5?
I think that the highs kind of outweigh the lows, at least for me, as like someone who doesn't like, I will play tank. Yeah, I'll play tank and I'll feed. But like, I feel like I run into more games that like it feels comfortable than like I feel like I'll have maybe like one game a day, maybe two, that's like, okay, this is just unwinnable, like comp wise. A lot of the games in like the top rank, I feel, is like you're losing because the matchmaking, but that's because the open queue, like MMR and all that stuff, got messed up.
Yeah.
The way I feel about it is there's always going to be things you can't control. Like sometimes you're just going to get more at Mercy. It happens in 5v5. I feel like the pros of 6v6, like feeling a lot better overall, outweigh the extra tank variable that you might get like a bad comp because of that. Because I mean, you're already going to get bad DPS and bad support lineups. So why not just have something that feels generally better and then have a little bit more of the bad comps? So
Yeah, Avril mentioned like tank synergies only work when like you have a good synergy going, and I agree with that. But I would rather play tank with a bad synergy than one tank. Like Ocie mentioned earlier, D.Va main tank is just not fun. It's like
Yeah.
one of the worst experiences I've had in Overwatch. So I would rather play like D.Va any other tank rather than D.Va alone. So I agree with Rak said, where I think the better parts of 6v6 outweigh the lower parts. But then again, like we were mentioning, it's different for us three and like everyone in high elo, because most of the time we are on like an okay comp. But I know in other experiences that's not very likely.
Well,
also, wait, I have another thing. Whose fault is it? I feel like it's like the player base's fault to play these bad comps, because when I go, like, I remember in 6v6, I watched Korean ranked, and they literally just play
True.
Winston Zarya on a brig every game. Like, just blame NA. Like, it's not 6v6 issue. Blame NA and EU. Like, I don't know why, but these guys are allergic to playing good comps. But, like, dude, I remember watching Birdring place an account in Diamond. Their Winston Zarya looked better than Grandmaster Winston Zarya in NA. I was like, what am I watching? These guys are Diamond players? Like, their Winston Zarya are jumping in, getting bubble, taking space, staying alive. Their backlines walking in. I'm like, dude, this doesn't happen in top 500 NA when you play Winston Zarya.
We're
like,
on Mercy Moira instead.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And
I want to
oh, sorry.
go on. Sorry, you finish.
One last thing, tank feels so much better in 6v6 because on tank in Overwatch 1, like 90% of the time you're just forcing objective, or you're doing something, like you're always playing main and you're always playing objective, and it's like there's no room to make plays or anything. But when you play like D.Va, like Ocie was saying, there's like 20 different options, but D.Va in Overwatch 2, you just like touch point and then mark Winston. Like that's your objective.
It does feel like you can play the game. It feels like you're in like, I don't know, 5v5 tank feels like you're like in an RPG game, and it tells you every little thing you have to do and everywhere you have to go. And then 6v6 feels open world. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah, exactly.
you actually get to like
Options.
walk around and do things, and your other tank can stay cart one fight, and you can do something, and then your tank, then you can take the turn on cart. It's like it just so many more options open up.
Yeah.
So I think sorry, Avril, did you have something?
Unless you're moving on, I was going to address a couple of the points made there.
Okay.
No, go for it.
Let Avril speak.
Yeah. So I actually agree with the tank. So Apply's tank discussion there was really accurate, and I think that comes down to the problem that Overwatch 1 tanks were not ported onto Overwatch 2 well, in terms of the fact that, you know, the devs said they were going to start changing the tanks a little bit to be more solo tanky, but then you get into the issue where we kind of already touched up on this in the sense of like reworking. We've seen how difficult it is to rework all these different heroes. The fact that they gave up on Reaper reworking altogether. To be fair, like we also said, maybe just adding as a perk was like kind of fixing it in some ways. But my point being here, it's quite difficult to get good reworks in it, because a lot of reworks, you can't do effective reworks without killing the character and totally redesigning. And so that just seems like something that Blizzard isn't willing to do. And, you know, there's pros and cons there as to whether that's the correct decision or not. But it means that certain Overwatch 1 tanks get left behind in Overwatch 2 and solo tanking, like D.Va you guys mentioned, doesn't feel as good. Sorry, doesn't feel as good. You'll note that these are the off tanks we're talking about here as well, by the way. The off tanks don't feel as good because their role in 6v6 is very different to 5v5. The main tanks transfer over to 5v5 a lot better, like we talked about Winston, obviously mentioned, so that's a really important call as well. There's a huge divide there. And you actually see as well the new tanks in Overwatch 2 for 5v5 feel good in 5v5 because they're designed for 5v5. So you just have this like weird fundamental design issue where you had one game where tanks were designed a certain way, and then another game where tanks are designed a certain way, and the tanks just don't cross over well. Like, I don't know how you guys think the Overwatch 2 tanks feel in 6v6, but like, it's not as clean as the traditional, in my opinion, the Overwatch 1 like main tank, off tank kind of like design that we had in Overwatch 1. So it's like just very different. And yeah, like I also think the tank synergy situation as well, it gets to the position where it no longer feels like an option, it feels like a requirement. So you have a situation where Dante's talking about, like, yeah, in Korean ranked, everyone just plays Winston Zarya and it's great, and they're just playing the correct heroes. It's like, at a certain level, tank synergy is not just like, yeah, you just have the option of maybe you play this, maybe play that. It's like, no, do you have a Zarya or a D.Va in an off tank? If you don't, have fun losing. You just don't win. There's too many situations where even in low ranks, maybe even especially in low ranks, where like one tank player going something different and not optimally picking around the other guy's tank and just not optimally working together, and the other team is, you just get a steamroll. Like the two tanks that are actually picking optimally for each other are so synergized versus the two tanks that are not. Like the gap between that is insane. I made the same argument.
Do you think that's worse than someone one-tricking Roadhog and getting counterpicked? And
Actually, I would say the kind of the same thing happens in 5v5 with supports right now, though. Support is like Thanos, and I feel like, you know, one team goes on Akiri, the other team goes Lifeweaver or Moira, like you just lose.
So my counterpoint to that is that it's worse on tanks. The tank synergy is like overwhelmingly more synergistically important than any other role within its own role. Support would be next on the totem pole, then DPS last, because DPS synergy doesn't matter nearly as much as support synergy, and the tank synergy in a 6v6 environment matters the absolute most. And it comes down to the fact, again, this is a huge can of worms. I could talk for hours on this, but I'll shorten it down to the point being that two tanks optimally working together exponentially increase the value of those tanks, because they can infinitely, maybe infinitely isn't the right word, but they can basically like near infinitely damage mitigate for each other by swapping and rotating cooldowns, and there's various different mitigation tools that can in certain cases basically infinitely mitigate. Like Diva Matrix basically infinitely mitigates damage as long as you have it available, right? A bubble or shield on even 1 HP can infinitely mitigate a million damage just with 1 shield HP. Like I'm talking about very specifics here. Like the game doesn't always play like that, but the math works out. Just trust the math on that one. So tank synergy is like overwhelmingly more powerful than any other synergy in the game, and so that's the part of that as well, where like playing the correct tanks no longer feels like an option; it feels like a requirement in 6v6.
Yeah, but I think that's even more so in 5v5 too, where like if you're on the wrong one tank, you're gonna get countered easily by whoever picked the right one. Like I feel like with tank synergies in 6v6, one of your teammates can play like Reinhardt. Like if Reinforce wants to play Ryan, then his teammate could play Diva or Zarya. But in 5v5, if Reinforce wants to play Ryan, and
we're screwed.
And, we're screwed.
Yeah, that is true.
So
I'm sorry.
I feel like even though tank synergies are like the most important thing in 6v6, I think in 5v5 being on the one right tank is like just as important. I think it's just the same for both.
My counter to that is that I think in 5v5 it's easier for the other roles in DPS to support to make necessary changes and to impact the game, because you have one less tank opponent, particularly on the other team, that can sort of suffocate the game and take space. You have more space to play through. Flanks are more viable in 5v5. It's easier for you to be able to, let's say for example it is a hog, you know, it depends on what the other team is playing, but like there's more ways for you as a DPS or support, if you are not the tank, to be able to do something against the other team's solo tank, because there's not two of them mitigating for each other, synergizing with each other to make them both really difficult to play against, and also suffocating the map and taking over the map. Like we talked about, Ocie mentioned this, you have more things you can do on tank in 6v6, where like you don't have to be on the payload, you can roam around and do all sorts of things. But in 5v5, because tank kind of does have to take payload more often and does more of a singular role, the map actually opens up, which makes it better in my opinion for the other roles, allowing them to actually do more in the game, and therefore you can do more to mitigate your tank picking poorly. It's not good. It's not, if you pick poorly in both game modes, it's not good. I'm just arguing that in 6v6 it's worse because there's one extra player, and that extra player isn't just like a raw +1 mathematic. It's not just 5 + 1 = 6. It's more of a multiplicative situation where, because it's on the tank, I'm specifically talking about tanks here because we're adding one more tank in 6v6. It's not a +1, it's a multiplier because of tank synergy being exponentially higher when they multiply against each other. So it's not just a raw additive, it's a multiplicative increase in problems for me.
Yeah.
All right. To go back to what you said about the tanks not being designed for 6v6, I only feel that way about Junker Queen, really. I feel like I played a good amount of 6v6 so far, and like the Maga comps feel pretty good. I think Ram comps feel pretty good. Like you go like Ram Zarya.
Ram definitely is really good.
Or like Ram Sigma feels good. I haven't seen enough Hazard, honestly. But that could be one.
Hazard seems pretty good. I think Hazard Zarya is actually pretty fun. Hazard Diva as well. They're like they're better against brawl comps, you know? Like I feel like it's actually something that can like fill that gap. I had a lot of fun with it. Actually, I think Junker Queen and Hog both are kind of just as weak as each other, I would argue. Like,
I think Hog's really good right now.
Too. Really? Interesting.
And I think Hog
is better.
Is actually good. Like he actually got like justified. Also,
Okay.
the only hog ever is 6, and that guy is too good at hog. So I don't know.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
Okay.
But I agree on the Junker Queen point.
Yeah. Junker Queen feels weird because she feels like a DPS, but she has like weird limitations because she's a tank. I don't know. I haven't been a fan of Junker Queen in any of the games. Just doesn't ever look good. But one thing I don't think we ever talked about was counter picking. Like counter picking is so annoying when you're playing tank. Like Smash is like, Dante, you need to go practice Winston. I'm on 2023 Glads. I need to practice Winston. I load up ranked. They go Bastion, Reaper, and then like Hog. I'm like, oh yeah, let me practice Winston, okay. And then it's like, I don't know. If you have like a diva, then it wouldn't be bearable, but just, it's so bad, the counter picking. And there's days where I don't want to counter pick either because I just want to play some Doom. And then if Sombra's too strong, then they just go Sombra, and then I can't play the game. But like, if you have like a diva, then maybe you can play the game, you know. So I think it's a lot different. I don't like the counter swapping, especially with like the 1v1 with tanks and stuff. Like you go Hog, they go Orisa, you go Zarya. Like I don't know. I'm not a fan of that gameplay loop.
No, that's fair. And I think with 5v5, like a lot of the discussion is like, oh, like we need to like find ways to reduce counter picking in 5v5. I think it's literally built into the design of 5v5. Like it's not the idea of, oh, like maybe you can play around the counters, do this, do whatever. Like it's just kind of, it encourages it at that point, which is like, if you like that, if you're fine with that, then sure. I mean, it works, but I never minded it too much. I just swap, and it's kind of funny sometimes because you just start winning the game instantly when you swap. But it is kind of a problem with the design of 5v5 with the tanks, because there just isn't that other tank to fill the weaknesses of the initial tank, right? You're playing Reinhardt. The Reinhardt example is great because, you know, Reinhardt on King's Row now kind of sucks. It used to be the Reinhardt map, but now since you don't have someone to control those high grounds anymore, it's like the Reinhardt's useless, because now people, what they do is like on defense, they'll go Orisa and push people off the high ground, or like attack. Really popular strat now is just to go Diva and attack, and everyone fights over the high ground. And because you don't have an off tank to do that, it's just you're the one tank that you have has to do that. So I really feel like being able to fill in gaps there is really nice.
Yeah. Oh, going to your thing about the Reinhardt, I really like Rein Zarya now, because the Zarya can take the high grounds on these maps, and it's
That's
actually good for
true.
Zarya to do it with the perk, because like the perk in 5v5, it's okay, like you can use it sometimes, but the perk's really good in 6v6 because you can be like your Rein can play main and you can clear out these side high grounds, like you do like an energy farm and you go clear them out with energy, and Zarya feels really good on a lot of maps just because of that. Whereas
That's actually
like
really fair.
5v5 with the perks, you just don't use it that much. You can't use it. There's no time to. So.
All right. So we talked about this being a can of worms, and so we're just gonna keep it going. I have several more questions I want to ask you guys about this. We're not moving on in a little bit, I promise you. I think I want to follow up on that and just kind of ask about the perks. Do you as a panel, do you prefer perks in 5v5, 6v6? Does it not matter to you? Do you think 6v6 with perks is obviously significant different from regular 6v6 before in Overwatch 1? Do you think perks are more additive in the 6v6 format too?
I think they're great either way. I love perks. I mean, you know, it's a good way to think about it from the casual player perspective too. Is let's say because a lot of people, when they're a casual player, they're a main. They main something, right? They're like, I'm a Ramatra main. I love Ramatra. And what perks are able to do is it's like, you know, when Ramatra gets a new cosmetic, that's going to get someone to log on to the game and play again because they want to like try out this cosmetic with Ramatra. It's kind of like cosmetics, but it's like an in-game feature now. And it changes the playstyle of your hero. So if you're like a Mercy main, like every Mercy main is going to go crazy when they're probably going to drop new perks for Mercy or something, right? And then like they'll want to try that out. They'll want to get back on. I feel like it really incentivizes player engagement, honestly. Like that's something that not many people talk about, but not even just talking about how it kind of changes up the game a bit, provides more flexibility. I think the fact that it engages players and changes things up is a positive.
Yeah. Do you think it changes the way 6v6 works? Rak, I think you were about to say something.
No.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I
think we can all universally agree perks are good, but
yeah.
But I'm curious if it changes 6v6 fundamentally from the way it was in Overwatch 1, or it's just not good.
The removal of CC does more than the perks do, to be honest. Like the feeling of the game is different.
Yeah, Lucio feels super fun. The Lucio, okay, I don't know if they messed something up, but the Lucio boot plus 15% plus no tank passive, I think it like, I swear it switches gravity. Like they go further than they ever should, but I'm fine with it.
There's a bug actually. I found a bug today with D.Va. You can send people literally across the map with boosters. Like there's something wrong. Like no, I sent a Ramatra
correct.
across the map, like into a wall with D.Va boosters. And I think it's like if you cancel at the right time or something and you hit them at just the right angle. But like, I don't know. There's a weird bug with the tank passive, I think, specifically with tanks. But yeah, no, I noticed that. It might be with Lucio too.
Yeah.
Fun fact: Sigma gets booped farther than other tanks. If you guys didn't know, so with the Lucio boop perk, probably insane boops on Sigma.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh.
There we go. Fun facts with Dante. Thank you. Pro tip. We love the Dante pro tips. I'm just gonna move on from the perks because I have quite a few questions here. The next thing I wanted to ask was about the gameplay loop of playing 6v6 versus 5v5. So when Overwatch originally transitioned towards 5v5 and Overwatch 2, I know it was a couple years earlier, but we were kind of like transitioning away from 6v6 goats and, you know, these big double shield compositions. And there's just a lot of bodies, a lot of shields. And I think the way it was presented around that time was that if you remove one player from the game for each team, it's going to free up a lot more space within the game. It's going to feel less oppressive because there's going to be less shields. There's going to be less people like in your face all the time. And I think this is quite more significant when you're playing like damage heroes because there's one less tank to like shut you down. You can go for these big flanks and stuff like that, right? So considering that we have, you know, a few people in here who really do play DPS at such a high level as well, I'm just curious, like, how do you think the gameplay loop changes from playing DPS in 5v5 to playing DPS in 6v6? More specifically, are you just farming tanks? Or are you just shooting tanks more? Do you feel like it's a bit more stale and boring in that way? Do you feel like 5v5 is more open? Like, what are the big kind of like gameplay changes you feel when you just like play the game? Not strategically, but more from just having a fun standpoint. Anyone could go. If anyone.
As someone who's played a little bit of DPS in OPQ, I feel like I just shoot what's in front of me. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I do actually find myself playing Widow a bit in 5 or 6v6 for no reason. I don't know why. But like, I'll just sit there and I'll just shoot, and like, maybe it's a tank, and like now that tank's half health. Like, it's not that I'm farming the tank. It's like my shots on the tank can kill them now instead of just like, oh, I want ult charge, you know?
Because I guess what I'm scared of is that you just sit back and shoot the tanks because it's like harder to navigate around the map. But I don't know if I'm right in that. Like, do you feel a difference in the way it plays?
I disagree. I think because there's 2 tank presence, it leaves you with a lot more time and like opportunities to go do something else. Like, you can go flank, and it feels like way more loose. Like 5v5 DPS feels very, I don't know, it's like tank. You take an angle, you shoot their tank, you walk up, their tank gives space because he has 1,000,000 HP, and then it's kind of like repeat. I guess in like lower ranks, it might not feel that way, but in top 500, it feels a lot like that. Kind of not that fun. And 6v6, like, you can do anything. You can shoot their tank a little bit, you can chase the ball, and it's actually like worth your time to chase the ball because you could probably kill him. Like, balls actually die, but in 6v6, it's like, or in 5v5, you chase the ball and then he's insta full HP around the corner, and doesn't feel very good. But 6v6, everything feels pretty good to do. Like, you just free roam, do whatever. Yeah. There's not like a set way you have to play the game. And fights are also a lot easier to clutch. Like, you lose one in 6v6, you like go make a flank. You can do this on any role. You can do it on tank. You can do it on DPS, support. Like, I was playing Ana, and I feel like my playing like a DPS on Ana gets way more impact in 6v6. Like, you play like a DPS on Ana in 5v5, you don't look at your tank, and then like your team's at a big disadvantage. Like, you can't follow up with nades or anything, but you just like throw a nade and like someone will follow up with it in 6v6. So I feel like it gives like a lot more options on how to play the game.
Yeah, Reinforce, you mentioned, like, does it feel like you shoot tank more in 6v6? And you would think so because there's 2 tanks, but I think you shoot tank more in 5v5. Like, you have so many more options at DPS, like Dante was saying, in 6v6 to flank more. And also tanks, there's like he was saying, like chasing ball, like you can kill ball in 6v6 if he gets discorded or anything. And tanks blow up way faster in 6v6. So you might think that you're shooting more tanks because there's another one, but I swear most of the 5v5 gameplay loop is just shooting tank until they get low, and then you create space, and then you can go in. But I feel like 6v6, going back to like even Ocie was talking about with D.Va, you have more options to do things in 6v6.
I'd like to weigh on this, but part of the issue is going to be the fact that a lot of what I'm going to say is probably going to come down to skill issues. Like, clearly, I'm just not going to be good enough at DPS. I understand that.
Trust me, I
relate.
relate.
But you're a voice, Avril. We need your voice.
I'm just saying for the people later that would be like, this guy, well, he's just bad at DPS, so obviously he thinks that. I'm just going to address that right now, so I'm just going to put it out there. But from my perspective, I do think it's interesting what Dante said, but for me, it's like the opposite. And maybe it is a skill issue. Maybe I just suck, but I actually feel like the flanks are harder to take because the areas on the map are more marked. Because it's like there's an extra tank there to mark you. There's like less downtime. There's less downtime in terms of where places on maps are actually open for me to take. I find it's easier for me to just ignore tank and just shoot. It depends. Like, do I want to... I play like Soja, obviously. I'm going to farm rail off tanks. But like, there's more opportunity for me to shoot literally anyone else in a 5v5 instead of only looking at the tank when there's only one tank in front of me and not two tanks in front of me rotating the damage mitigation abilities. And that's the other issue as well. It's like, it's hard to find windows where the mitigation isn't there. Because it'll be like, one tank does one thing to mitigate, and they go on cooldown, the other tank does the other thing. And the windows are just not there. With one tank, there's a window of like, here's damage mitigation, now it's gone, and now you can shoot and do stuff. Like, it's way more clear.
I think I have an example that kind of describes what you're saying. So like, if you have overclock as a soldier, you can like, slide and work around the one tank in 5v5, and you can like kind of like try to one-shot the backline. But if you got an overclock going in 6v6, then it's a bigger risk to kind of like go for that play, right? Is that kind of that's kind of like what I'm trying to get at? Is that kind of what you're hitting on?
I mean, it could be on that here. It could be on a bunch of other different DPS. The point is, there's less area on the map that I think you can take. And again, maybe it's a skill issue. Maybe I suck. Maybe like Dante's point is way more accurate. If I was just good at DPS, I could just flank and do all this kind of stuff. So it could just be that. Maybe I'm just bad. But like, yeah, I just find it's harder to find windows of opportunity to find open angles when there's extra tank marking positions, and to find windows to actually deal damage when there's more damage mitigation that exists. And damage mitigation and HP, they work in different ways. Like, yes, are the tanks more killable in the sense that their HP is lower and you find a ball on a flank and you can 1v1 them? I think that's great, by the way. I think it's good that you can 1v1 the ball versus you can't in 5v5, so it's not worth chasing. That's a great point. But when the tanks play together and it's two, like a Ryan and Zarya, and they're just trading shield into bubble into shield into bubble, you're like, bro, when do I get to shoot anybody? When do I get to deal any damage that's not shooting a damn bubble or a shield? Right? This was the whole double shield situation in 6v6. People think double shield is bad because you could just like, oh, they have two shields. They just put two shields. I was like, no, it's bad because they put one shield down, you break it, and then they put the other shield down, you break it, and then the third shield's available again. It's this constant back and forth. The cooldown's recycling of the shield, 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 shield. That was the bad part. That's what I don't like about the two tanks. It's like there's just like a lot more uptime in mitigation. It feels harder to find opportunities with the downtime. It's like when you play a Dark Souls boss and you know the damage windows, but now the damage windows are half as much because it's twice as much mitigation. So, bro, when do I get to hit them? When do I get to hit the HP bar?
Yeah, and I think that was the problem.
People will just say I suck at the game, and it's true, but this is just my opinion. My opinion is a low rank player.
Does anyone feel that? Does anyone kind of like relate to that at all?
I want to go back to something you said. You're talking about how like all the flanks are blocked by tanks. I do agree. I think that this can be really bad on certain points. Like, for example, Rialto last point, it's like there's a main and there's like two side doors. Like, imagine if there's like a ram blocking one door and then the main is like held by like Arissa or something. It like makes it hard to push through either of them, and the supports can play in spawn. So I think the two tanks can be really oppressive in situations like that. But then I was kind of wondering if it's like, is that like a gameplay issue or is it a map design issue? Because I feel like the maps in Overwatch 2 have been a lot, like they're way better designed. They don't have these like hard chokes like Anubis, Rialto last point. A lot of them are like more open with multiple flanks and stuff. And they've done reworks to maps like Numbani and stuff to make the maps a lot more accessible for like offense and stuff. So I think it might not be that much of a gameplay issue, more of a map design issue. And they are like they've done a lot of map reworks. So I wonder if they would like fix that issue with map reworks, because I do think that is an issue that 6v6 has. I don't know what you guys think, but
I think it goes both ways. Where I feel like, for example, like for me, before they reworked Gibraltar a little bit in Overwatch 2, I felt like retaking second point Gibraltar like on your attack was so hard to do with 5v5 and one tank, because you just walk through the choke while they're on top of the airplane, like with their backline. I feel like it goes both ways. It is like a map design like problem, I think, because I think two tanks helps like crossing Rialto second point bridge is much easier with 2 tanks as well. Like it's just, and like Havana third point is much easier to retake with 2 tanks too. I actually think it's a good point that I think the map actually has a lot to do with the angles and not being able to take the right angles that you want.
Yeah, this kind of like leads me down a path of something I wanted to ask as well about how I feel like Overwatch 2 is very much designed for 5v5. You know, for the longest time, they were like, this is a 5v5 game, and so we're going to design maps, systems according to 5v5, abilities, hero kits for 5v5, because it makes the most sense, obviously. But then you get 6v6 introduced late last year with these tests and stuff, and it obviously changes the way the entire game is played. And I think maps is like the biggest example of how the game changes, right? You free up some space, the game feels very different. So I kind of wanted to just get your opinion as well of if we saw more 6v6, if 6v6 open queue, and we can have that debate later, like if that is permanent in the game or whatever, like what changes would you like to see to the game that makes 6v6 feel better? Is there anything about the 6v6 open queue currently that you feel like, oh, this is pretty bad, this doesn't make sense, this is like a 5v5 kind of thing that should be reworked? Maps is like, I think, the biggest thing, but is there anything else you can think of that the game does a poor job optimizing for 6v6 in its current
I don't
state?
even think the maps matter. I think
Yeah.
like if anything, they just dumbed down the maps, and I
Yeah.
don't think it will be a problem for 6v6. I think it might be like, if anything, a little too easy, but like I don't think it's gonna be like so easy that like you won't be able to do anything like on
Yeah.
defense.
Yeah. And also, my thought is, I feel like when they switched to 5v5, a lot of the problems with the game that people kind of had, they became much worse. And I think they figured that out in playtesting. And then they're like, okay, let's get rid of a lot of these slows, these stuns, because like the one tank was probably getting punished a lot. That's probably why they simplified the maps a bit too, potentially. Like, I feel like it almost, the changes they made for 5v5 make 6v6 kind of better. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe I'm just
I
crazy.
can agree with that in some ways, especially like for example, like the Dorado second point like stairs. Like
Yeah.
in Overwatch 1, you couldn't play like brawl comps on that map unless it was goats, of course. But like before that, you would have to play like a Winston or a Diva. But now I feel like in 6v6, because of the things like those stairs or even the elevators, like you can play a lot other just like random comps on 6v6. I think the map changes might have actually made 6v6 better.
I think so, 100%. One thing, back to Johnny's question, one thing that's really annoying about the open queue is some of the cooldowns are different lengths. Like, for example, Doom Block is a second longer, I think. And it's super
Yeah.
annoying because, like, you just go off muscle memory. Like, you don't really look at your cooldowns. At least I don't. I feel like a lot
Yeah.
of players don't look at their cooldowns. They just, like, you know when your Tracer Blink is going to be up. So if you add, like, a second Tracer Blink, you're going to die a lot because you're like, oh, like, I should have had a Blink there. And then if you go back to playing 5v5, like, if you're someone that likes to play both, going back and forth, that'll definitely feel really bad. So...
Yeah, I've been going back and forth, and the most recent like patch, they changed the Ana's nade for both. Like 5v5 and 6v6 is a different cooldown. So that just like 100%, they should have the same cooldowns.
Yeah, it is annoying. I think they need to figure out different ways to balance, like maybe adjust numbers or something, because I don't think anyone who will swap between the two will like doing that. And then one thing I want to talk about against for 5v5 or 6v6 is, initially, when I started playing 5v5, I realized that duels are way more important in 5v5 rather than 6v6. And I kind of like 6v6 because it's not so duel heavy. It's more do the right thing. I don't know. I feel like it feels a lot better for gameplay flow because, like, dude, you're against like proper on the other team. It's like, well, how do I like, out-duel them, or like a cheater or something? I feel like it was a lot easier to win in 6v6 where there's like a lot more ways to win against a cheater. But 5v5, it's like, it's so duel heavy that it just feels not fun to play against.
5v5 is like all 4-1 and 3-2 splits. It's either like a Lucio Genji or a Lucio Tracer or something, or you're just sending your Tracer on your own or something, you know? Like, it's all that. Like, that's all the macro and a lot of these dive compositions and different compositions. It is a little simplified too. I feel like there's more opportunities in 6v6 to try different things. Right now, it's just like, okay, Lucio Genji split. We saw that in Junker Queen comp. We see that in Hazard comp. We see it everywhere.
Do you are there any map modes that you feel play differently in 6v6 compared to 5v5, or do you feel like all maps are kind of fine? I think the one that, you know, would have worried me would have been Clash, but obviously Clash is not in the game anymore. But, you know, you're looking at something like Push, for example, like those Push feel
Wait,
fine
Clash is in the
6v6.
game?
In quick play.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Also, that's one thing I think I never brought it up, but it's very minor. I don't. I know it was bugged, but like I feel like there should be casual 6v6 still. I just want to like chill with them.
quick play
I
6v6?
want to just like chill with some people and just play quick play sometimes.
Wait, do you think
It'll
quick
break
play
up a
should be
queue.
6v6?
I think
You're
you
saying
should
an
have
option.
you should an option.
There
It
it'll
was
be
in, but
it's
it was
bugged.
it was
Yeah,
bugged.
They're gonna add it
so
back.
they took it
yeah.
out.
There'd be like there'd be too many queues. I think the reason why there's
Okay,
not is because they want to
That
avoid
is
that
also
many
another
queues.
thing. I'm curious what's gonna happen next. Like, because I know this is like a test. I don't know if they're gonna
Let's
take
do
it
it.
away. Because
Let's dive into it.
Are we? Okay.
Let's
I don't know
talk
if this is
about
like a
it.
segment.
Let's talk about it. What do you think is going to happen next?
Well, okay. Oh, can I go on like my huge theory?
Sure.
Okay, so
No, you're not
so
allowed.
Here, Rack.
Quiet,
well,
please.
okay, no, because what we're gonna have like the normal comp queue and all that, and like that's what OWCS and everything's gonna be on, and then this is supposed to be like a test season for a 6v6. So my assumption is it's going away next season, especially to make room for stadium, because then we're gonna have quick play, normal comp, and stadium, and then like if we also have 6v6 comp, like there's just so many things to do. I think like they probably want to like have a fresh release that's not like overpopulated with stadium. But then I don't know how people are going to react to that. And then this is where my huge theory comes in. And it's people are going to get mad that 6v6 is gone. The China major already passed. And then in stage 2, depending who has control over it, I could see EWC randomly throwing out 6v6. And it could be played 6v6. That's
Wait,
my
for stage
Hail
two
Mary.
major,
That's
you
my
think it's
Hail
gonna be
Mary.
6v6?
That's my Hail Mary.
I like
No,
that theory.
because the information I'm going off of is EWC last year introduced hero bans, and
True.
EWC Fortnite wasn't a battle royale. So like they do their own thing.
But crucially, that was a
Hang
different
on.
tournament. That was not in the
Yes,
OWCS
that's
circuit.
why it depends who has like the control.
Like,
That is
full-
true.
well, EWC is part of OWCS now, so it can't do that anymore. It has to be within
Yeah.
the OWCS.
It has to be their stuff.
I
You ruined Rack's theory. That was
yeah,
fucked up.
unfortunately. So no, here's the thing though.
I'm still
Rack, you could
holding
still be
out. I'm
correct.
holding out.
I know for a fact that they have to be on par with like all the OWCS stuff. That has to be the same circuit and everything. Because like I talked to someone from OWCS and I've actually like given feedback and stuff and talked to them. But I think there's a possibility that Face It or like EWC or something has some separate 6v6 tournament that they run. That wouldn't surprise me. Maybe even like next year. I'm not a big fan of EWC personally, but that wouldn't surprise me. That wouldn't surprise me. I can see that happening. So I don't think that's like insane. But yeah, they'll probably be forced. Like it won't be an option for them to do 5v5. Now, here's my theory, and I know that they're considering this: 2 hero bans per team.
I think that's
For
good.
OWCS.
Isn't that what
That's
the
what
whole
the base
new
game is
system
gonna be.
though?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
I assume
thinking
they
about
just
switching to
adopt
base
it.
system. Yeah, they're not decided on that yet, as far as I know, but it's something that they're thinking about because the base game will be that, and I think it'll make sense. I wonder if they're gonna I don't know how they're gonna change the
You think
system.
they're gonna do it like
so-
Marvel though, like where it's Marvel Pro Play, it's ban,
Protect,
protect, ban.
Potentially, I don't know.
That's only
it's a
for
good
tournament
question.
play, also.
It's just like if both teams are banning 2 heroes, it gets to the point where you're gonna run out of bans like really fast if you're not allowed to reuse them. So
Yeah.
I don't know how they're gonna manage that. I don't know how they're gonna change the rules. So that's my biggest question. I think they are gonna do the 2 per team. It's like, how do they change the rules around that if they do?
Yeah.
As the pro player of Marvel, you can reban, right?
I
was a
don't
Gen
know.
1 Marvel Pro,
I
so-
played like one Marvel Rivals Pro match. I don't even know.
What do you mean reban? What do you mean
I played the
reban?
first tournament.
Like after the first map, can
Like, you can
the
ban
same-
Hell.
Yeah, you can ban
you
the same
you
thing
can,
every
you
map. You can
yeah,
ban
you can.
Oh,
the
okay.
same thing every map if you want. Yeah.
No,
I can see
wonder-
that being pretty healthy.
I don't know everyone's opinion on it, but I don't like that you can like ban for protection in OWCS right now. Like if you ban a tank, the other team can't ban a tank. I'm not a big fan of that. I don't know.
I love that.
Really,
I think the one
I do love
protect
it.
system might be.
I think it adds a lot of
I
strategy
think-
to bans. I think it's cool.
I think
personally.
protects add more strategy rather than like a role ban. Like
I agree.
if you had like a hero ban then a protect, it would add more depth to then just because a lot of bans you see nowadays, like sometimes they ban a random hero just so you can't ban a hero in the role. I think that can get a little more boring rather than like a protection.
Yeah, I remember at the Riyadh major last year, it was just like every time when I was on Ents, it was like every time we scrimmed SSG, it's like like it kind of like it puts you in a weird spot. But like we'd play SSG, and that's when they played Reinhardt and stuff.
Yeah.
So they'd permanently ban like Weaver, Mercy, like Ana. They'd ban everything so they could keep Lucio and Bap
Right.
and like Kiri open. So they'd ban like every single time, no matter what. Like they'd never go offensive bans.
I will say Juno. That's why I disagreed with hero bans until I realized that Juno was an alternative and allowed for Juno, like not, I guess not Juno Lucio, but like Juno Brig and things like that. Now that we actually have a speed alternative, I like hero bans. I didn't like the idea of it before when you could ban out a whole like, you know, because you have kind of the flavors of composition, brawl, dive, whatever. And Lucio was literally a must pick for all brawl compositions. To ban out a whole type of composition was too much to me, you know,
Yeah.
with one ban.
I agree. I think the more
Well, it's
heroes
kinda
that come out, it'll allow bans to be more fun.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot because I feel like rush comps are just 80% of Overwatch 2 meta, and it makes it really stagnant. It's just rush. It's like the rush core, and then whatever tank is like the most OP at the time.
That's
the, like,
fair. Yeah.
So I
But
feel
also-
like adding the comp diversity made it feel a lot like Overwatch 2, since you
think-
can like do these bans.
I think
Or,
how
I mean,
the
Overwatch 1.
I think how the bans worked like last year, it was like really cool because like you would have depthful rosters too, because now it's less rosters. So when I did play, you know, they'd ban Lucio and like, all right, Rack, you're getting out. Mirror's going in and playing Alari or something. It's like you could have like actual like people like specialists still, I guess. Now it's kind of just like you play 5 players and, you know, play around your strengths. But if your players aren't flexible, it's kind of gonna be troll to like ban a whole composition from yourself.
Yeah.
I'm gonna-
I think. You go.
You should finish. You finish first.
I think protects allow for a lot of individual growth in players too, from an audience perspective. Like if you see a team, you know, protect a certain hero, you can say to yourself like, oh, I know why they're doing that because of this guy's on their team. They want to play this hero. And like Rack said it, where SSG would ban Weaver and Mercy to play Lucio comps, but it is like from an audience perspective, it doesn't seem cool that they're banning Lifeweaver to play Lucio when it could be like, oh, they're protecting Lucio because that's what they want to do. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. All right, going out, bro.
I was
Yeah.
gonna just save reinforce by dragging us back to open
No,
Q66.
no, keep going.
Yeah,
Please keep
no,
going.
like
Ocie,
I actually think like
going.
with the protect bans as well, you almost need a co-streamer to explain it. And this is what I found like
yeah.
now that I'm in like doing China, I'm streaming China. I don't know these teams, so when they do a protect ban or something, I sit here and I actually have to tell my audience, I have no idea why they did that. I have no idea why they banned that. I don't know why. But then like once I'm familiar with the hero pools and stuff for the players, and it's like, oh, the ultimates did this. It's like, oh yeah, they're just banning to protect Funny Astro or something. Like it becomes very obvious over time what teams want to do, but you have to kind of watch a whole regular season of matches to do that. Now I think the OWCS format, the new format, really helps with that, but still you do literally need like someone who knows, or you need to watch every match yourself. But usually it's easier just to watch a co-streamer to do that. But I feel like having viewers need to watch a co-streamer to understand is pretty tough, you know?
I don't think they do. I don't think the average viewer even cares. I don't think the average viewer looks at it. First of all, the NAEU broadcast barely even feature the bans. They don't even have a dedicated thing for the bans like the Asia broadcast do. It's just there with a map choice, then boom, you're into map, and we're just in there straight away. And the bans are just like, they're just aesthetic. They just exist. Especially true when it's EU, NA, amalgamata, and the bans literally don't matter. But I think for the average viewer, they don't think too hard about the bans. They don't really care about the bans.
But that's only the case right now because there's only 2 bans. If there was 4 total, I feel like they would have to pay more attention to the bans because 4 bans throughout the entire match changes everything.
Yeah, but then you could do like an actual protect system, and then you don't have to like do this convoluted explanation. It's just obvious. So what I'm saying is, as it is right now, I don't think you need to explain it. I mean, you do kind of, but also not really, because most people I think don't actually care, and it's just like, yeah, those are the bans, whatever. But for like a bigger system, like what you're saying apply, then the system would probably explain itself.
Yeah, the system that explains itself, I feel like in the 2 bans per team, that's what I think is going to happen, and that's going to make it a little easier to understand as well what's going on. But yeah, with the protects as well, like I do get a lot of comments and a lot of people in my chat, and even I see it in Twitch chat too, like, why are, you know, I don't know, SSG throwing because they're banning Lifeweaver, like why are they throwing? Why are they throwing away their ban? And then there's also throwaway bans too, where people just don't want to ban anything at all. I wish in OWCS they gave you the option to not ban, because throwaway bans confuse the audience as well, I think. I know in the actual system that they're adding to the ranked gameplay, that you can ban nothing. That is an option. That'd be interesting at OWCS as well, because I feel like, you know, just the throwaway bans when people are like, okay, we don't want to ban anything, so we're banning Mercy or something. It also confuses audiences. So I think the confusion is like a little less than I was making it out to be. Like AVRL, I do agree with your point partially, but also I do think people are very curious sometimes why teams are doing certain things, and it really is hard to understand. And some people do want to watch OWCS because they're like, how is my favorite hero played? How is maybe my favorite streamer? Because, you know, a lot of OWCS streamers as well are getting more and more popular, which is amazing, by the way. Like esports content is like on the rise right now. But, you know, they want to know what their favorite players, their teams are doing. And I feel like, you know, the more context we get, the better.
I'll say this, like, I think the casting should try and pull some weight on that regard as well. When I cast, the few moments I do try and explain that a lot more. Obviously, on the Asian broadcast, you have a lot more time to do that because they have dedicated band segments. Yeah. And so I'll go into it. I'll talk about the broadcast so the people watching should be able to understand. But, yeah,
there's some guesswork involved. There's some guesswork. You gotta do some prep and see what team habits and stuff like that are. I think my opinion is just like that they're going to copy the base game. I don't think it makes any sense for them not to copy the base game. You know, this is actually one of the very rare instances in esports history where like the organizers like, screw the game, we're gonna make hero bans because we think hero bans is best for the esport. Like that never happens in most games, right? That the actual esport plays under with a different rule set than the actual game, right? And so I think they're just gonna copy it.
I also have I have one more thing.
I think does it all the time.
They have gentlemen agreements.
Look, we'll go back to 6v6. Do you want to talk more about hero bans?
I got one more last thing.
Okay,
when you were saying like, you know, getting the production for, you know, the bans or whatever, if we copy the base game, assuming, you know, that it's gonna be something like Marvel, like I actually like watching like the Marvel pre thing, because like you see the ban phase go on the whole time. So you're like, oh, this is what they're doing. You know, you get the sense, and then you go straight into the game.
I like that. I think Pro Chaser did it pretty well. I know it's like the production wasn't perfect, but it showed you the like real time when the team's locked in a ban. And then like it made it feel like you were watching the other team respond to it. Like it showed the screen, then it showed like the animation of the hero. It's like, oh, this ban was hazard. And then the other team, it's like empty and you're waiting. Then you see it pop up and it's like, oh, they banned Brig. So I feel like that was really engaging, getting a screen like that. I might hit up the OWCS contact and say, hey, that's something that we might want to think about doing.
I was going to say, I got bad news for you, because you don't want to do that, because they want to minimize desk and they want to minimize analysis as much. Yeah, they hate it. They don't want to do. They want to minimize analysis and desk as much as possible and just jump into game as much as possible with minimal breaks. So you're going to get.
That's what they found. Yeah, it's all about
what you're going to get. What you're going to get is you're going to get all 4 bans and 2 protects on screen at the same time. You're going to see it for 2 seconds and went to map. That's what you're actually
going to make wanting to watch a co-streamer even more important. I think people are going to tend to go towards co-streamers so that they can explain bans and what they think is going on if they just skip over the whole process of fans.
When I did an EMEA cast with Jaws, I had no time to explain the bans. Like they were on screen for like 3 seconds. We're into map, and the first fight's like boom right there. I'm like, okay, well, the bans don't matter, and we're not going to talk about it. There's like no time at all to talk about bans.
Yeah, I think it's especially like right now, like you said, like the 2 bans most of the time don't really change much, but if they do copy the in-game system like next season and there is 4 bans, like you're going to want to talk about the bans. It's going to change everything.
It just makes the most sense, because they still have to do the bans, right? And so I mean,
it
take more longer time, but at least there's an official game screen. Right?
The good thing is also now that, you know, Marvel has been going on for a little bit, like they have rough baselines of, you know, what people have talked about during that time. Like how their segments work. You know, if OWCS wants to be like, oh, you know, they're talking until like straight up until the ban, and they'll be like, oh, they did this ban, and then talk about the ban a little bit, and then it's like, boom, the next ban, boom, the protect, ban again. You get like a little extra segment. See how it goes over.
Yeah, I just want to finish on that thing that Avril brought up as well about minimizing desk time as well and just getting into the game as possible. So this is obviously something that they've studied for a long time in Overwatch history, because I don't know if you remember, in 2019 they would do ads in between rounds in the Overwatch League, and so the players on stage were to sit for 3 minutes when they were swapping attack defend. Dante, do you remember this? You had to sit in like a break between attack defend on maps.
Really?
To just because they were running ads like in the middle of the map.
Oh, I do remember that.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
So
Johnny, you know why?
They finished the pack on Junkertown. Let's run 3 minutes of ads, and then you'll see the defense.
Johnny.
I remember if we were able to talk between that. I don't think so.
The reason we did that, Johnny, is because we used to have sponsors.
Oh,
yeah,
the
and
good
also,
days. I
you
miss
know,
what we had like Nissan or wait, what was the
He's
car
a
brand?
grooves.
Toyota.
We had Cheez-It, Toyota. Oh my god.
Pringles.
We had a
Dude,
real
the sour
reason to
gummies,
run
what were the
ads
sour-
because we had ads to
Sour
run.
Patch Kids.
Sour
Crazy
Patch.
how that
then,
works.
Yeah, but they also so like they almost have like back then I sat in the production room all of 2019, and there's like the main producer who's like running the entire show, who also has an assistant as well, whose job it is to like cross off all like the sponsor and ad stuff that you have to like do during a broadcast. And they just sit with like the amount of ads we have to run during a broadcast. Like it was very like the amount of production resources they had back then was like insane. We were like in a room, we were like 15, 20 producers. It was nuts. So they had to run a lot of ads. But basically, coming back to what we talked about, they just realized that if there's no match playing, if there's no gameplay, people leave the stream. They just leave the stream because all they want to see is matches, right? So they minimize desk time, minimize break time, and just show as much gameplay, show as much matches as possible. And maybe this has what to do what Avril brought up as well about the ban phase and like are people naturally tune out during everything that is not the actual gameplay. And so that's why there must be a bit of a rush.
That must be an NA problem because Asia doesn't do that. Asia doesn't. I don't think they lose their viewership doing that, and they love to do long death segments, long analysis, long ban phases. Dude, look at the China broadcast right now. It's long, dude.
I think your studies are outdated. Personally, you're saying like 20.
First of all,
You're saying like
studies.
2018. You're saying 2018. Like I'd rather
Johnny studies.
instead of seeing like 2 to 3 faces talking about the game, I'd rather see the bands going on, even if they don't talk about it. I'd rather see the bands going on in the background while they're talking.
Yeah.
Like,
or during the break, because they
brain...
still run a few minute break between the maps, you know? Like if we could have like a screen that's going on, even if the casters aren't talking, you know? Just like they put the countdown for the next map and then they just show the ban phase going on in between maps. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Like the ban phase would be like, I genuinely, like that is something like, I don't really know what's going on in Marvel. But like I watched it, it's just cool to like see like you see like the countdown go over.
Dude,
they go.
but like honestly, I just always
break
change
screen,
streams
middle of
whenever
Kings
there's not
Row.
gameplay on. That's like me.
Yeah, but
when I'm in queue and stream, I lose viewers always. Every streamer loses viewers when they're in queue.
But
would you be more enticed to watch a ban phase or just people talking on the screen? I'll just tap out or go on TikTok.
I
During
agree
both?
I agree with Raka. I think I'd
rather watch the ban phase than
that
not
information is outdated. I feel like people leave because of just like random like analytical segments, not bans. I feel like it's different watching like people talk about the game rather than seeing what's about to happen in the next game.
Yeah.
Trust me.
I feel like
There's nothing the
is.
producers love more than putting like actual stuff instead of talking faces. Okay, if they have a choice between showing my face on the broadcast or showing a ban screen, they're gonna pick the ban screen every single time. Okay, so let's just make that clear. If they could, they would totally. And they're all like look, the people we work with, they're really good.
Saying
they
for
know
like the
this stuff.
future.
They do their best at it. So,
this.
Here we go.
See, I'd rather do this 100 out of 100 times over.
I think this is good.
Having this in the background, this is good. You can even be talking like them.
There's downtime between the maps, so they can use that. They should use that.
Yeah.
If the in-game client supports it, then I think it's really easy. Honestly.
Yeah.
Oh, sure, because you get to show the in-game client.
Yeah, this makes sense.
I think then they'll probably do it.
This is Solomon cooking, huh? Solomon, is this you? Did you cook this up, Solomon?
Gotta be Solomon.
Yeah, it's Solomon. Yeah. No, you're giving full credit here, Solomon. All right, I think that was a bit of a sidebar there on bans. Unless anyone else had anything else to add on bans.
I'm good.
Real quick there. Okay, we're good. We're good.
Back to 66. Let's go.
Yeah, because we were right in the middle of it. We were right in the middle of it.
What
Bring
happens
the worms
next?
back.
Rakattack, you cooked. Ocie cooked.
Yeah.
So, okay, where are we going here? Should 6v6 replace 5v5? Should we have both competitive queues? Is it going to replace open queue? What happens with 6v6 going forward?
I think they have a bit of a problem where I do think role queue 6v6 is like, I'm going to go and make the hot take that it is my slight preference right now. Like it is my preference. And I think some people prefer that too, but they're worried about queue times. And I think to have balanced queue times right now, I think the best thing they could do is make role queue 5v5 and keep that if they're making that the game, the main game mode, and then keep it open like it is now for 6v6. That way you have the fast queue times in 6v6. You keep it moving. 5v5, it's going to be slightly longer queue times, but it's their main mode, so there's still going to be a lot of people dedicated to that mode. I think that's like the problem. I would definitely prefer the role queue on 6v6, but I feel like at that point you start to get into long queue time territory.
I think that what's going to happen again is Stadium. I think because it's like a test, I think Stadium's going to get the first half of the season fully, and then people might complain. And then I want to see like, Stadium the first half of the season, and then it'll go on forever. But on the second half of the next season again, do a role queue version and see like how the people think about both of them. Like overall, because like just do another half season, because this is only a half season thing. So like you just do both and then see how it goes over. Also, because you get that little like cooking phase where you take it away from people, people are gonna be like, oh, I want to play 6v6 again. Oh, I want to play so bad, and then they just hop in right as it comes out.
I think the ideal outcome is, this might be hot for some people, is we just kill quick play entirely, and there's 3 queues: 5v5, 66, and Stadium. And here's why. Fuck them. Yes, because you don't want to separate and divide your play base in like 10 different directions between like, oh, this quick play and that ranked and this mode, and now with 5v5, 6v6 and 6. So bro, too many queues. You're just going to divide the play base. The queue time's going to be bad. If you want to minimize the queue times to keep everything good, because here's the thing, I do think role queue 6v6 is probably better, but the queue times will be so bad for role queue 6v6 that it's not worth it. I would rather have worse 6v6 games but better queue times. I keep an open queue. So I agree. I think 6v6 open queue, 5v5 role queue, Stadium, those are your 3 main queues, and there's no quick play. I've never agreed with the concept of quick play. Just like, I think people have like this weird thing in terms of how they perceive competitive to be. They think about ranked, and all they think about is like, oh, it's too sweaty. It's like, it's just too competitive for me. It's like, it's just... I think that it just has this like weird kind of reputation. Whereas, that's the thing. Right now, when you look at how Stadium's going to be, there's not going to be a quick play. For 6v6 right now, there is no quick play. I don't think you need it. I think if you're a regular player who just wants the quick play experience, you can just play the 1 queue, which is basically just going to be ranked, and you just get put into your rank, and you're going to get matched up against who you're going to get matched up against. There's MMR and quick play too. The only thing that's quicker about quick play is you don't play both sides of the map. That's the only part that's legitimate and quicker. And maybe there's some people that really love that, but I don't even think that's a good idea either.
I think I disagree with you here. I think there's people who genuinely
one problem.
just want to chill. Okay, so Ocie, who would you like to go first?
I don't know what you're gonna say, but I just think there should be 100% a casual game mode. I'd rather nuke arcade than get rid of quick play. Like I want something like, as the casual pro I am, I just want to like hang with my friends sometimes and play the game. Like I can't play in comp. Yeah, but I can't play in comp.
If I want to play with my girlfriend or something, she's like, I don't know, gold and plays like Tracer, and that's basically it. Like, she doesn't usually want to play like competitive, and even if she did, I can't play with her unless I smurf.
Yeah, that's
you would have to and that's an issue. Like, if you want to play with your friends and you're good at the game, you can't, and that is an issue. I think that's the main issue. Like, I actually kind of agree. I kind of wish there was a way to make that work, what you're saying, AVRL. Here's my take, okay? This is going to kind of have the same effect. What if we made quick play 5v5 open queue? And that's it. Fast queues for quick play, faster queues for quick play. It's just 5v5 open queue. You can make it 6v6 open queue if you want to too. Don't have both though.
Why open? Why don't just keep 5v5?
I think you just shadow them. You just shadow the main game mode, I think.
We can have 4 queues. Like, that's fine. We can just do 4 queues. We can do 2 5v5 queues, a 6v6 ranked queue, and a stadium queue. But if we do a quick play for 6v6 as well, that's 5 queues, not including arcade. Think about that.
Yeah, I think there should only be 1 quick play though. Only 1 quick play.
I agree. 1 quick play and no roll lock. I think that'll be best.
Like, my idea, I was just saying, like, we could change the quick play to open queue if we wanted to. And then like that would maybe reduce queue time, or maybe make people more inclined.
The
roll lock is like a more competitive feel to it, and the people that want to.
Well, it's not even a competitive feel. It's to get higher quality games where you're guaranteed those supports and tanks and a correct amount of DPS, not 4
That's actually
DPS,
how it's like in League, right? It's in League, it's not roll lock unless it's comp, right? Like
no. In League, you queue your roll. in every
Yeah.
single queue.
Yeah.
League, you have to queue for your role. There's no open queue league as far as I remember.
Really?
What is a flex
Yeah,
queue, isn't there?
Well, you can flex queue just means you're queuing for all the roles,
Yeah.
but it's
Okay.
still role queue. There's
Yeah,
not
it's the role
there,
queue, yeah.
there is no
Yeah.
open queue. There has to be role queue. So my point here is like role queue is important to retain like quality of game. I also don't
Right.
think quick play has a queue time problem. Quick play is like instant for me all the time. Like
Okay.
unless you're like a giga high quick play MMR, even then I don't think it's that high. I'm pretty sure quick play is
Fair.
always just fast no matter what.
And
Even on
you
low
also
queue.
do need a mode for people to learn the game. Because to be fair, if throwing people right into competitive, I mean,
Fair
yeah, you can throw them right into bronze. I think that'd be the solution, just to throw new accounts into bronze. But also maybe that'd be that.
I
cause
admit
other
it.
issues
Rivals
for-
does.
I
Yeah.
admit it was a
Yeah,
hot take, and
Rivals does
I didn't consider stuff like chilling
No,
out and
that's
playing
fine.
a queue that doesn't matter and like
Yeah.
all
I love
the
hot
stacking
takes.
things.
Well, if
I
it
love
makes
it.
you feel
No,
better,
I'm
Valve
just saying.
agrees
I'm
with
just
you.
saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, there's with Stadium coming in and with 6v6 probably staying because it's popular, there's going to be a shitload of queues. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, you have to mitigate the problem of dividing the player base on, like, all these different queues because it's gonna
Yeah.
impact queue times across the board, right?
And-
So you have to do something.
Stadium's
do we-
interesting. You know what I think they should have done with Stadium? I'm gonna make another hot take. I think they should have released it as another game.
Another game, Overwatch 3.
Isn't it like technically
they
kind
should have
of, though?
released it as like a different game.
crazy.
The only reason I say that it reminds me of like Teamfight Tactics with like League or something. It's like a completely different thing. It's just like not
TFT
even
is in
Overwatch.
League.
I
TFT is
Yeah,
in
it is.
League.
I
It
see
is.
it as
Yeah.
like
It's like the
I
same
see
thing.
it
though.
as
Yeah.
Call of Duty, and we got zombies and we got multiplayer.
Oh,
And I could
Fair,
click on the
yeah.
main screen, you know.
I guess that's fair.
That's kind
That's
of what
fair.
they've referenced it as, yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think making a different game would like help. I don't know if you mean it from a different perspective, but as it pertains to like queue times, it doesn't help because you still have to.
Yeah.
You're gonna. All you're doing now is adding extra steps to open another client to go to the
I
stadium
guess
queue.
so. I was thinking of
So-
it from like a marketing perspective though, just to bring in like players, because I feel like the players that play Stadium won't be the ones that are playing Role Queue, you know?
Well, it's
and I'm not
it's
sure
like
if they'll steal from Role Queue. It's like
it's
interesting.
like Hearthstone Battlegrounds, right? It's just I think it's better in the client so that you can have everyone in the same client, the same game. You don't have to make a new client, and then you have everything ported. Everything's within the same ecosystem. All the skins, your account, you know, all your levels, all everything's within the same client and ecosystem is a better experience for the players.
Yeah.
As far as
Honestly,
like
you know what? Yeah, I
experience.
agree with you. I was wrong on that one. I was just like thinking because like I was just thinking in terms of like how can they market this, you know, and how can they present it? Because I tested it and I was like, oh, this is
they
interesting.
could just
It
do
feels
big,
different.
just do huge, just do insane marketing for it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how
Yeah.
they market like TFT or Battlegrounds for Hearthstone either, but
I mean,
whatever they do, they do.
Do we really expect Stadium to be as big as we're saying? I don't know why I have
No,
doubts.
I don't
really
think-
have
I don't
doubts
think it's
for it
super
to-
big.
I really don't think so. Yeah. I mean,
Dude,
Yeah.
I'm so in. I'm
I
so
mean,
in.
I'm definitely.
well.
I'm
I'm in
so
as
in.
well.
Apply.
No, I mean, I'm gonna try
I
it
think
out.
Casual players will love it personally.
Johnny and I are in.
But do you
I
think
think
it's
it'll take
gonna like stay around as much as like the main queues? Like, you think you're gonna play Stadium for years? Let's say.
They have a whole separate dev team for
years.
it.
I'm not. Let's chill. Years. I don't know
Wait,
about that.
what does the
Will
Johnny
there
study
be-
say about Stadium?
Let me see
Will
the
there be
Johnny study.
several? I don't know what the study says. Will there be several seasons of Stadium? I think people are gonna like. I think people are gonna like it because it's third person. To show off the skins, it's a different gameplay loop. I think
Yeah.
people like queuing in. It's kind of like the same mentality as quick play. It almost feels like a refined arcade mode, like an arcade mode that is like really refined and they really flesh it out. And I think that's going to cater to us to an audience that, you know, maybe don't are as inclined to play competitive or even quick play. And it's going to be a new way to experience Overwatch. I really do think that it will have a lot of replayability, and I think there will be an audience for it that really just likes queuing it all the time. So is it going to be as big as the competitive queue? Probably not. But is it going to be like, I don't know, I'm throwing these numbers out, but like 15% of all Overwatch players play Stadium? Maybe?
Yeah, I hope
I
it
thi-
has legs.
I think
Yeah.
there are going to be content creators. There's going to be a sphere that's going to be built around Stadium. That is what I
Yeah.
think.
It's going
You
to be
know,
Stadium
they're,
content
they're,
creators,
they're,
yeah,
they're
yeah.
committed to it, but like there's going to be we're going to see content creators pop up or existing Overwatch content creators that just decide to drop the role queue and everything and just go Stadium. And they're just going to make videos on this is the best build for this. And then when they update it, I know they're planning on like slowly adding more and more heroes to it until they catch up with the main game. And you know, again, they have a full dev team just for this. I mean, they're
Yeah.
literally like
Oh, I
playing
didn't
an
know
own
that,
game.
yeah.
So I think it's gonna be really interesting to see how it grows. It might be a slow start because again, I feel like I know some of my friends who are like casual kind of like gamers and stuff, like they actually know about it. I was surprised that they knew it existed because they don't play Overwatch much. But it'll be interesting to see what impact it has on release, because I'm a little concerned about, again, the marketing ends of things. Like how many people actually know this is going to exist, right?
I don't know. It'll pick up steam if it's popular and word of mouth travels. I think they should do real marketing. They should really push actual paid marketing for it.
It should not be like an arcade mode, like a random.
Yeah, like the same question is like, well, how did TFT get big? Why is Battlegrounds now basically bigger than the default Hearthstone mode? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like something happens eventually where like, if it's actually good and people enjoy it, and I think it's right now, I think it's pretty good. I would like it if it became my main mode.
Did you try it out?
Play, not legally. I can't state whether I tried it out or not. My lawyers have advised me that I can't legally.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but you guys went to
we played at
Spotlight, so that's different.
Spotlight.
That's different.
Yeah,
that's different.
true.
But
Yeah, we
as
did.
a non-spotlight legally, my lawyers have advised me I cannot state whether I played it or not. But it looks good to me. It looks, based on all the gameplay I've seen, just asking for a friend because I've seen it. It looks pretty good, and I would like it to be my main game mode if it goes well in the future. So I think it'd be good.
Dude,
I
I
think
thought
that
it
was
was
really-
so fun when I played at Spotlight. Like, I had like the Junker Queen build where I just buffed my shout. My shout would go across the map. I got shout resets every single time I got a kill or an elim. I get another shout. It was insane. I think there was another buff that did a shout. Like, there's so many cool builds. I'm so excited for it actually.
Yeah,
Probably
I'm
gonna
just
turn
like,
it around.
I'm scared. Just the only thing that could like make it weird is if like one character is just like super broken. Like I was on Orisa, and I remember I was versus Flats, and I felt bad. But like he was on Ron, and because this is at the Spotlight, and I had 1800 HP and like infinite cooldown rotation, and I just never die. Like I healed myself on every ability, and I was just running around in circles. It's like I could never die, and if you have a character like that in the game that like
What
literally
hero?
could
Orisa.
Orisa. So yeah, I just basically was invincible, and it was
So-
just like
There is a huge healing and HP problem in Stadium from what I've seen. Healing gets to the stage where it gets so insane that you actually can't outdamage the pace of the healing. I've seen a soldier.
I
noticed
figured
that.
out something.
Yeah, I've seen a
Cass-
soldier run around with like infinite healing with the aura with the biofield that follows him around. And you just can't kill him because he runs around too fast as well. And his hitbox is
Yeah.
small.
I found a cast bug. I'm not gonna lie. You could roll, so you could right click, do your full right click, roll. It right clicks like one full clip of ammo, and then it right clicks again for some reason. And if you get the thing where it gives you even more ammo, then I could one shot Reinhardt late game.
You're about to be
With
sued.
right click. My bad.
Yeah, you
No,
can't-
but
you can't
I know
use
they're
bugs.
I know
You
they're
better
fixing
get
it. I know they're
US.
fixing it. I know but still, I know they're working on it. But still, it's like a really cool idea. I think it's a really cool idea. But yeah,
Oh,
no,
this
it
is
was,
gonna get banned.
I just
Yeah,
felt
my
like
bad.
Anna was a requirement because it was the only way to mitigate the insane healing. And
All I'm
also
hearing is
because she-
stadium
what-
bans.
Also because
Hey,
she
I'm
has
saying
one
that-
of her.
I'm saying that from watching
my
the
God.
Spotlight. Okay, I watched the Spotlight. I watched them play cast at the
Uh.
Spotlight. Okay,
Oh yeah, same. I'm
bug
just
that
asking
you
for a
found
friend.
at the
I've
spot.
not-
I
I've
saw
not-
I saw I saw
haven't
them
played it.
accidentally do it. I saw it. They,
Yeah, this
they,
is
they,
this
they,
is
they
all
shifted right
these are
back
all
in.
things that I've seen from other people's gameplay, not mine, clearly.
Yep.
You guys
Yeah,
got
the other
citations?
the other fun thing is Anna has a perk or a power where like the size of the sleep dart is increased by 500% or something, and the speed of the projectile is fast as well. So you can shoot it down a hallway and just roughly aim where they are. Don't even bother aiming. Not me. I've seen people hit people around corners. I've seen people hit the sleep dart around corners where like the guy is running around a corner and the sleep dart hitbox is so huge it still hits. It's amazing. It's so funny.
All right, are we ready to wrap up 6v6 here and this stadium tangent? All right, okay, sounds good. I do want to ask, just put you people on the spot before we move on here. 5v5, 6v6, or both? If you had to pick one.
Both.
I just want
6v6.
one of them. I don't care. I just want
I
them
think
to pick.
6v6.
Both for now, and then choose one. and,
Apply goes for the
Yeah.
6v6. I love it. I love it.
I want-
Rack's gonna flip the coin.
I
don't
want
care.
like Overwatch anniversary. They just like by the time that comes around, they just be like, all right, this one's gone, and just hit it out.
I want all
Get
the
rid of
dev
it.
focus on one game.
Yeah, I want
Yeah.
like
6v6.
when even is the when did Overwatch release? Do we know the month?
2016.
May, right?
Like
May?
16 May, I
May?
think, yeah.
All right, well we got like what 1 month. I want one gone.
one of them going on.
I guess it came a little early.
Oh,
I thought we
he's
got
like
a
a
little more
mafia boss.
time.
He wants to see one gone. He just wants to see one get whacked. He's like,
Yeah, if they honestly change back to 66 permanently and no 5v5, I would be genuinely just curious to see what that would do to like the public perception.
I wonder if they're going to
Player
release
base
like
sometime.
statistics on where the player base is right now.
I
after
think
the
they
I think
would
they're getting
sure
like
will.
they're definitely
Yeah.
they get a lot of statistics.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they have like all of, like the perk statistics and everything
Yeah, I'm
at
excited
that
to
point
see.
in all the ranks.
There's
let me
definitely going to be a developer blog, and Aaron has to, like, in good faith, quote statistics
Yeah.
to be like, this is actually what happened.
let me
Because
tell you what's
otherwise,
gonna
they're
happen.
going to be like, oh, he's lying.
Let me tell you
He's
what's
making
gonna
stuff
happen.
up.
Oh, let me tell you what's gonna happen. I don't know when this is gonna happen, but here's the crystal ball prediction right here. If 66 is indeed more popular than 5v5, and if it is, I'll accept that, and that's fine. I don't care. Either is fine. I think both are fine for the game. Both have their ups and downs and pros and cons, so whatever is fine. But if we go to 6v6 down the line, it's proven to be more popular statistically. That's great. Aaron comes out and he says, you know what? We're dropping the 2. It's going to be Overwatch. It's going to be 6v6. And then the entire internet's going to explode. Okay. Donkey and Charlie and Moist, they're going to make new videos saying, Blizzard
They come
are
back.
so desperate. Oh, look how desperate Blizzard is and all this bullshit. They're going to come back and say, oh, Overwatch 2 was a lie the whole time. We're back to Overwatch 1. It's back to 6v6. And the loot boxes are back. That's what's going to happen. So that's going to be the future Overwatch. Give it a year.
You're
Back
probably
to
right.
Overwatch 1 fully. And that's how we are.
I think they're dropping the 2 sooner than that. Either
Yeah.
next season or the season after.
I think
I've
they're
actually
dropping
heard
the
Everyone
that.
wants
two.
to drop the 2.
Yeah,
Drop the
I've
2.
never said
No, I
Overwatch
think-
2 in my life ever.
Yeah, like
I've never seen the top on
it's-
Overwatch 2.
I'm not going to talk about anything that was like important in the leak, but like
Yeah.
someone leaked it and they're changing like the Overwatch 2 skin names to like Valorous or something. Like they're starting to get rid of that stuff.
Oh,
and
you
that,
saw
that
the
tells
data
me.
mining thing?
Yeah.
I'm not
Oh,
sure
okay.
if that's real, but like, you know,
Wait,
again,
that makes perfect sense. That means they're going
Yeah.
back to 6v6 too. Oh my gosh.
right, Dante? We're locked in. I will say if I had to pick one or the other, one goes. I think personally, I would go 6v6. I would wait until after OWCS though, because I don't want that chaos and I don't want it to be split because I care about I care about OWCS. You know, it is my job. It is what I like to do. We can keep 5v5 until the end.
Competitive
But
integrity? What is
They
that?
need to do it
I'm
mid-stage. They need
curious.
like
Wow,
Overwatch
okay.
League. No, you don't know what we had to go through in Overwatch League. Like the early
God.
seasons, do it mid-stage. Players have to flex to the second tank.
2 weeks
The
before.
random
all
Q2
stuff
Put
heard.
Surma
lock
Jet
mid
on
Overwatch
off
League.
tank. I need to see this.
No, I'm curious to see like how the scene would actually like react to that because you
Yeah.
have to pay a whole new player. You maybe have to house this whole new player
A new role
and
opens
travel
up,
with
too.
the new player. You have to
Last
your
minute visa.
your splits are less. You got visas, yeah.
True.
Collegiate
and all
would be
that
crazy
stuff.
too because
Collegiate would
like
probably,
you'd have to be enrolled
Take a
to the
hit.
school. Like what happens?
yeah.
Oh, maybe that's. Oh, never mind.
it might hurt the
Oh.
scene actually.
Yeah, I think it would be harder to sustain people unless this season goes over really well.
It
And
seems to be going well
somehow-
so far.
If they
Depends how
kill
like the partner
5v5,
system goes.
if they kill
Mhm.
5v5, I want to see the stats that
Yeah.
proves that 6v6 is definitely more popular. I don't want a situation where 5v5 just gets killed because too many people on Twitter got loud about it. Okay,
agree.
This is not real life.
I
And
agree.
social media is not
Yeah,
real life.
but I think
need to see
Mercy
this
might
actually
be
more
better in
popular.
6v6. So they win.
What's better?
I think Mercy might be better in 6v6. So I think
Oh, true.
I think,
It's
I
just
think they'll
delete
win.
Mercy, please. We just give it to Mercy.
They got a lot of like really good data when they had that Halloween mode. Remember, like Halloween was kind of like Stadium, right?
Yeah.
And so I think they'll really be looking at the data and see like how many people are actually playing 66. And it feels like, I mean, again, I'm like very content creator, esports pilled, but I feel like a lot of people are playing 66. And I think that will actually have significant impact on what they ultimately decide to do. So when Derpy's on Twitter and he's like, play 66 to like make a stand and like you gotta fight for it, I'm like, low key kind of, actually like they just care about who plays the game and how many people
Yeah.
play the game and what queue they're playing, right? So actually low key has a point. All right, we're moving on into GOATs, classic Overwatch. Apply. Why would anyone play this mode? Why would anyone play this? It's so miserable. Come on, be honest.
I don't
Who
really
that
think it's
was
that
it?
good, to be honest. I think it's kind of. I mean, it's fun to mess around with DPS Doom sometimes. That's kind of fun, but
No one plays goats. No
I
one plays 3-3. It's
I
a
think they should've
useless
just-
mode.
They should have just locked it to
Yeah.
goats.
Yeah,
I don't know.
exactly.
I don't know why they named it Goats Classic. I get it. We're like in the era of goats, but I don't know why you can play whatever.
Dude,
Yeah.
Brig is insane. What were they thinking when they released that character and then nerfed one small thing every single patch? Like, dude, the character has 600 HP shield. It's like a 5-second stun, 6-second stun. I don't even know. You have a one-hit combo on Tracer and like you like kill DPS with like an extra flail or two. It's like insane. It's so insane how OP that character is.
I think the funniest thing in Overwatch history for me is being able to bash through Ryan's shield. That I don't know.
Oh
why.
my god, that.
I just think that was the
Yes.
most hilarious interaction ever. There's no counter to it besides being able to bubble your Zarya or bubble your Ryan, but I just always thought it was so funny.
Why did they think that it was acceptable? I don't know. I don't understand. Why did Jeff Goodman and Jeff Kaplan decide, you know what would be good if you could bash through a shield?
It's because everyone was
thought that was
so
good?
mad about dive being meta for so long. I don't know why. Everyone hated that the Korean dive meta was so good that they
Yeah,
just
so
made
Ryan cops
Jesus
L.
like
Reinhardt cops the dick
I
for all
don't
of that,
know.
huh? It's not
I
even
don't
Genji
know.
or Tracer. Like, suppose you can one-shot Tracer, but like, that doesn't even explain bashing through shield. I don't get why does
I
Ryan
don't
have to take
know.
the L for that? That's the weird part, right?
If anything, Ghost has made me realize just how many quality of life changes there are since then.
Dude, that's what
Like-
I'm saying. Like the games, like some people like to bash on Overwatch too, but dude, the patches have been so much better. Like, dude, I've seen how like with Overwatch 1, I like Overwatch League. We're playing on these patches, goats for like a year long. It's
Yeah.
like, bro, but the patches in Overwatch 2 have actually been good. Like,
I don't know if this is like a hot take, but I'll be honest, I don't care about any of the classic modes. They could
I just
they
get the
Same.
title,
I
bro.
don't care.
yeah, they could get rid of them. I don't know if I think people play them for maybe like the first day, but I don't see anyone playing them. Even like the Moth meta, I mean, I don't see anyone sticking around with them.
It just makes me realize how bad the game was back then. Honestly.
Maybe that's their plan to be like
I
be
don't
happy
know.
with what you have.
I know that's my conspiracy. I think they purposely made these Okay, maybe it's like the porting. Maybe it's the porting over from like Overwatch 1, but I swear they made the patches like where it's like shatter lasts maybe 0.1 seconds and they stand up. Lucio feels so muddy. Like the wall riding feels horrible. Like I swear they purposely make it feel worse. So they're like all right, fine, man. I'll play the game how it is.
yeah.
By the way, what you have on screen here with Johnny playing, this is exactly how it feels. You go in and there's 3 DPS. Like, wait, I thought we were playing goats.
Nah, we're 3
Just
tanks
3
on Doom.
DPS.
No,
Yeah.
wait
Okay,
until
my
he hits the
games- my
shatter. They
games have
stand up
3 DPS.
instantly.
We're sitting in the lobby here right
Look
now,
at the
and I'm
icons,
like, do
though.
I have to go support? Because look at our comp. Like this was my experience.
Yeah, I played for like an hour. I don't think I had a single game of goats. I don't
No,
think
I
the
haven't
other team
had a
played
single
goats
one.
at all.
Isn't
People
the
probably
Doom
don't
meant
know
to be
what goats
DPS?
is.
Yeah, I don't think they do.
Yeah. They needed to lock it. Like this is what I
Yeah.
was saying too. It would have actually been the first good classic mode they made too if they locked it, which is really funny. But like I just I don't care about the classic modes either. I feel like they're just kind of.
I love the
bad. They
conspiracy
feel
that
bad to
this was
play.
just to realize how much better the game is now.
Okay, I think it definitely is from like porting over engines though, because like the Overwatch 1 engine was like so good. I mean, I really like the Overwatch 2 one, but like the Overwatch 1 was also super nice.
I purposely
same
picked this.
engine?
This was the worst game I played, so I purposely picked the worst.
Fine. Once you hit the shatter, like they just stand up. They just wake up.
Yeah, the fact you can't cancel charge, like, oh my god, it's so bad. Old Orisa too. Old Orisa is so bad. It's just terrible. There's like slow when you use your primary fire. It's
Oh my
just terrible. Dante, I don't know why you like that.
Dude,
hero
I
for some
love
reason.
Orisa Holt. Changed my mind. Like that is so fun. Fair literally has that right now, except on like a 6-second cooldown that shoots across the map instantly.
You gotta bring that back as a perk.
Paul?
They do.
Yeah,
That's
actually,
no,
I'm
no,
saying-
yes,
I
yes,
think
yes.
if you
way.
I think that you should be able to pick the shield perk and it gets rid of both your shield and your spear. Like you just go legacy like
yes,
cooldowns or
yes.
something.
No
The,
way.
could be
the
good. That
shield
could be
is so
good.
bad as its own. It's like
Yeah.
never useful.
It's actually
Also,
real, yeah.
You when you like use the shield and then you spear someone, you're pushing them away from you. Like you need the pull.
Yeah,
Yes, please. Actually, no, you just came
Yes.
up with like the best idea ever, honestly.
yeah. You just
And
go
here's the
legacy
thing,
mode.
double shield wasn't
Classic.
too bad once it was like somewhat balanced. I'm not gonna lie. Like it was actually kind of a vibe on Havana and like that skill level where you're like going for pulls and then dynamite and then Genji dashes through. I love that comp especially like the the Orisa Sig, Ashe, Genji. You know, changed my mind. I think that was fun. You put a Bat Brig in there too, you brawl. I think that was really fun.
That shit made me quit Overwatch.
Scott's
Fuck
writing
that.
this shit
I'm gonna
down
play
right now.
Stadium.
You know what?
Scott's just writing it down.
You know what I was actually thinking about with perks, guys? I was thinking, what if... Okay, so you know how some perks are just a lot better than other perks? Like, for
Yeah.
example, like Doom perk. Like, Doom's not that great until you get, like, the power block perk. So I was thinking, like, what if you just play a different tank for, like, the first, like, 4 minutes, and you just swap when you, like, get the perks in one fight? I feel like that's, like, the most efficient way to abuse perks, but I feel like
Good
no one
idea.
ever does it. Like, for example, Freja, like, the Conk perk is so good. Like, just swap, like, towards the second half of the game where you insta get the perks, and then, like, your character's sick. Like, you don't have to play a bad character that, like, benefits so hard from the perks for so long.
That's pretty
Yeah, true.
genius. I didn't really think about that.
I was just thinking about the other day.
Yeah, no. Sometimes when I like stall on Kyrie and I kill like 2 people, I'm like, oh crap, I'm already level 3 perk. I'm like,
Yeah, it's
all right,
crazy.
I guess I'll stay Kyrie for 2 TPs.
Yeah,
Dante cooks once again.
of course.
Love to see it. Love to see it.
I also
All
wonder
right.
what they could do for like Zarya's perk, bro. That beam major, I swear is
yeah.
just useless.
I think it's really bad.
Wait, which one? Energy Lance?
The one that like shoots through multiple
The
people.
one I can,
Yeah,
I want them
yeah.
to put a railgun, like a charge rifle from Apex, on
Do
your right
people
click.
just pick the shield one now? You get
Yeah,
like, always
I've
pick-
never
Yeah.
never seen the beam perk.
The Zarya just made, or the bubble just made more sense the way you play Zarya, right? And it's like, how
Yeah.
often are you shooting through people? Like, but I think at the start people picked the energy lance like the first week, and then they realized it's bad, so they moved on, right? All right, that's Ghost for you. No one's played Ghost so far. I haven't seen a single 3-3 game. It's been great. I also applied this morning, Lock Doomfist by the way on Havana, and their teammate was like, please go tank, please go support. And I was like, I'm gonna play DPS Doom. Sorry.
Yeah, my teammate was yelling at me like, please, can we play 3-3? I was like, I'm going Doom for this. I was ruining the game.
All right. To wrap up the podcast here as well, I wanted to chat about the balance patch that came through. I don't think we should talk about the perks because the perk buffs were just like, I don't know, they just buffed everyone's perks. But I think we can quickly just run through the state of the game, what heroes are OP, which heroes are bad, and just talk about the hero changes. First up with Mauga, and I guess the question off the bat is Mauga dead? Does this actually like nerf Mauga sufficiently, where Cardiac Overdrive no longer provides allies with damage reduction, Cage Fight worse, and the passive as well, over health conversion rate reduced from 50 to 40%. Is Mauga dead?
I
What do we
think Mauga is definitely dead now. I have kind of a hot take. I don't think Mauga was hard meta before this. Like everyone's like,
this is an
like they were
EMA thing.
playing a
I
bunch.
agree.
I actually think that Mauga wasn't hard meta. It's an easy execute for teams. It's an easy execute. It's also something that everyone was drilling during Stockholm and like previous stuff. So everyone can kind of have it in their back pocket. You know, EMEA taking the Mauga mirrors. It's so obvious that Virtus Pro and Alcatsia were taking that on purpose. And I had people like arguing with me on Twitter being like, no, Virtus Pro isn't a Mauga team. Like, no, they were playing that on purpose. It's obvious. Like they were both just banning out like supports and DPS and purposely taking the Mauga. And even like Crazy Raccoon versus Falcons, people were like, well, they Mauga mirrored all the time. And it's like, well, Falcons just picked maps specifically to like be able to play Mauga. And for Crazy Raccoon, the easiest thing to do there was just to mirror it on the maps that Falcons picked. So it really just came down to that. Now, I don't think you needed to play it, but it was just easier to mirror it when a team wanted to play it against you. So that's what it turned into. China qualifiers also turned into a bunch of Mauga mirrors. I don't think they had bans in quals, so they were just doing that. So yeah, like it's just and it's an easy fallback for teams because Spilo puts it this way. I like to attribute the credit to him, but teams play not to lose. They play not to lose and not to get last place. So they don't want to get last place. Mauga will probably get you like mid-tier, mid-place. It's easier to get there. But I don't think it was like the best possible way to play the game. I don't think it was the optimal way to play the game. It wasn't bad though. Now I think what this nerf shows us is, first of all, this nerf, I bet Mauga's underperforming in ranked. I think this nerf is entirely targeted at pro play.
Yeah.
They put this out only for Hangzhou. Are they going to rebuff him after? I don't think so. I think that this tells us also that they realize if they're nerfing a character that is definitely underperforming with the stats that they have, I almost guarantee their stats are like low run rate for Mauga and ranked. I think they're going to rework at this point. I think they've given up. I think this is them giving up. Because they've tried so many times with Mauga to try and like fix them or adjust them and balance them. And every time it just, pro players default to the Mauga. Players in the game don't really like playing. He has like a super low pick rate. People don't like playing him. People don't like playing against him. This is them giving up. This is them saying,
And you
okay,
know what?
we messed up.
And now I'm the guy that, you know, I sounded crazy within the first couple of days of Malga releasing. I'm like, I don't know how else to say this, fellas, but I think Malga needs a rework. Said this within the first 2 days of Malga releasing. Dead ass.
Yeah,
And,
I saw
back
that gameplay
then-
trailer and I was like, dude, I don't like this character.
Back then, everyone was gaslighting me, treating me like a crazy person. Hey, guess what now, guys? Time to rework. I was right the whole time. This guy, Malga, needed a rework from day one. This hero was always designed in such an extremely poor way from the get-go. Okay,
Yeah.
so I don't think anyone, even outside of pro play, even in casual quick play, it's just not a fun hero to play with or against.
I remember my first game playing that character. It was quick play. I was getting the same damage as like a Plat tank. The Plat tank had the same damage as me. We both had like 20k in like 12 minutes, and I was like, oh, okay, that's sick. I love this. And then yeah, not a fan.
I'm sure it was a great conversation. I missed most of it. I'm sorry.
Basically,
But-
we all hate Malga and he's dead.
Real.
Let's go.
I think the only time we could ever see Maga is like the
Yeah,
week
yeah.
of playoffs.
Yeah.
No, I could see like that's the only time Maga ever pops up. It's like what I did with double shield back in the day. Like on Odyssey, like we'd scrim other comps, we'd scrim like dive to try to learn it, brawl to try to learn it, and then a match we're just like, all right, well, we're gonna go play double shield, and we just play double shield. Like it's the same thing with Maga. It's just like if you think it's gonna be good, like people will throw it out in the last like 3 days, just out of like pure confusion.
Yeah, I
works.
mean, that is in part we're kind of praying that does not happen at the Champions Clash.
Yeah.
I feel like there's just no way because the cardiac overdrive change makes. I just feel like it's just not good. Like
Yeah.
in the meta right now, then like no damage reduction for allies just changes everything about Malga.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't even know there was damage reduction.
What? That's crazy.
Wait, when did they add that? I had no idea.
Forever.
That's
Dude,
been
you
from
never-
release.
Yeah, you never
Dude,
just
I
pinned
didn't
in.
know that.
All your
Back when it
allies
was, like,
below and stuff.
When it was like Maga Farah, you just like pin in and just barrage.
Yeah.
Dante
Dude,
thought he
you-
just got like lifesteal
Dude,
or
I
something
thought it
on
was
the,
just
on the
lifesteal.
aura.
Dude, no, I swear it's like this with a lot of teams. Like I remember in Outlaws, it was when Junker Queen first came out. We're like a month into scrimming Junker Queen meta. We have like an hour-long discussion on whether we should push this Junker Queen in the room. And then I mentioned something about regen, and then like all our teammates are like, "Wait, you get regen if you hit an axe?" Like it was like eye-opening for our team. We're literally like the week before playoffs. It's like it's crazy. We were about to go to Toronto. It was a week before that. We were in our last set of matches, and people like
Wait. Didn't your team struggle really bad that stage?
No,
And
we
then
didn't. We were
made a bit of a
insane.
comeback.
No, we were insane that stage, and then
That
we
was
did really
Glads.
bad
Oh,
in
you were?
playoffs. Yeah, that
Glads
was
wasn't
Glads.
doing good.
Glads from,
Oh,
yeah,
oh, okay. Yeah,
Who was the queen? Were you the queen? I can't remember.
yeah. I think it was Piggy for like the first week, and then Doge, and then me.
Oh, I remember that. Wow, that's a
Yeah.
while ago.
She was a Piggy.
I was
don't
actually
remember.
I was so sad that week. That was like we heard like Glads were doing super bad with like Reiner, and then they
Oh, yeah, I remember
like
this.
that was the week that like Paris was debuting, and then like Space just played, and we just got owned, and I was like, oh okay. And that started the last
So
streak.
tragic.
That is pretty tragic. Yeah. A few teams did that. Either they had a Junker Queen player or they didn't. So they swapped around. I think Boston had like 3 Junker Queen players or something. It was like Mag, Punk, and someone else. I don't know.
Vancouver
anyway.
too. Vancouver went like who was it? It was False and then Mirror.
Yeah.
And there you go. There you
Yeah.
go. All right, moving on to Roadhog. Some slight changes to Roadhog. Take a breather, maximum healing increase, and ultimate cost reduce on whole hog. Anyone have
Still think
thoughts
he's
on
bad.
this?
I think he's just good in 6v6 still. That's my only opinion. In 5v5
Okay.
he's terrible.
That's good with me.
I think they're trying to. I don't think buffs fix the character. I think that actually this buff is like the worst thing they could do because all they did is I don't know.
All they did was
I
buff
think the
6
perk
in my
didn't
rank
they
game.
change the perk to make the I think the perk changed before this actually, not this hotfix, but the perk change where they made the trap do more damage. They're just like putting more power into the hook. They're making him even more reliant on the hook. And that's why, like, you know, I'm a big believer in getting rid of the hook and reworking the kit around something else. I know it kills the identity, but like at some point we need to accept that the hero identity that was created originally was flawed. I think that is something
Just like
a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
agree.
people
We
are
need to
saying.
accept some of these heroes are toxic and bad for the game.
And here's the thing,
I'm
Hook.
sorry.
Like
I'm
a
sorry,
lot of
Six.
people, like when I say like, oh, we should get rid of Hook, a lot of people think, oh, you're just dying to Hook too much. You're dying to. No, I'm saying it in the sense that a Hog player is so reliant on hitting hooks that if he doesn't, he just loses. It's either you hit hooks or you don't, and that's actually a liability to your own team if you're playing Hog. You know, and that's why it's so easy. Like that's why you just can't pull out the Hog randomly in a professional match unless you're like Crocs. Every once in a while, but like even then, you know, if a team knows how to deal with it and they're smart, you're just not going to get the hooks, and then you just lose. And having a tank reliant on hitting one cooldown, it's like I don't know how to explain it, but it's just it's too much reliance on it.
They did a great job with Sombra. They completely reworked Sombra
They did
to
a
a point
decent
where like
job.
okay,
But,
well,
like, yeah.
it's way less toxic now than it used to be.
I guess
Bro, I
so.
miss
Yeah,
old Sombra.
I kind of miss old Sombra though.
too.
I
Yeah.
feel like old Sombra, honestly, this Sombra is more how they reworked her. They made her more of a like a tank buster and just shoot the tank
She's
the whole
more
time and
annoying
farm your
now.
MP.
Oh,
Yeah, like I kind of like the old match, and I was a ball player, by the way. I was a ball player, Overwatch 1, like up in top 500 or so. So the players were actually real humans, and I was like, at one point I got to play against like the Overwatch League Koreans because I was like up there during the last season of Overwatch League, or not the last season, second to last season, I think it was. Or something. Maybe I forget. Years go by. I was starting college back then. But you know, I'd be up against Sombra players, and it'd be so fun to like hunt the translocator and you know like mark them and stuff. I feel like the changes they made to her for Overwatch 2, like her initial Overwatch 2 release, was good enough, and they just killed like the fun of the Tracer Sombra backline. Sorry, frontline. The Tracer Sombra frontline used to be so fun, so aggressive, and setups were really engaging. They just, I don't know.
So,
Sombra is just kind of
I
annoying
like
now.
Which Sombra? You want the Overwatch 2 release Sombra?
Overwatch 2 release Sombra. Yeah, I like that one.
I'm a fan of the old Sombra before perma stealth. I think the perma stealth made her way too easy to play, and it's like kind of corny. Where you could just like be invis in the backline for like 30 seconds. Like it doesn't really take skill to do that, but like timing your invis takes skill. So I actually do like that change recently, but I don't like how she plays. I miss the really strategic and like analytical Sombra where you have to like think about ults, like who to hack, like who's like what you need to do to make your plan good. But Sombra really doesn't have that anymore. She's just like a hardcore DPS now.
I
But
agree.
there's like better DPS for it, so
Yeah, you should be able to invis, and it's like a countdown. You get a countdown, it's boom, boom, boom. Old translocator would be nice to have back, and you know, you just play it that way. I feel like that'd be a lot more fun. It was a lot more tactical. It felt like, and you could set up things like dives a lot better. And if Sombra was an actual flanker, I don't even feel like Sombra's much of a flanker now.
yeah.
Like you can
Yeah,
take
she's
slight
not,
angles,
yeah.
but yeah, like they dumbed down her kit a ton.
All right, bit of a Sombra sideboard there. We're gonna keep the patch notes going here. Just a few quick changes. Primal Rage, ultimate cost increased. Don't think we have too much to say about that one. Bit sad for the Winston mains. Pretty unhappy. Dante's pretty unhappy too, I think. We're both sad.
So sad.
Zarya, degeneration rate increased from 2 to 2.5 per second for the energy, so slight nerf there. As we mentioned earlier, maybe was a bit strong in some right play. Cassidy, there's a pretty big change, I think. The primary fire fall off range increased from 20 to 25, and secondary fire damage increased from 45 to 50. Is this significant enough to make Cassidy more of a picked hero instead of
I think so,
like
yeah.
Voyage and Sojourn?
He's
We already
more
saw it.
consistent.
Actually, I think this is the most balanced. The hit scan, the balance of power between the three like main Cass, Soj, Ashe. I feel like this is the most balance it's been between them right now.
Yeah.
It's really even. I think like in China we've seen a lot of you know, both of the Cass and Soj. But something interesting I noticed is a lot of the time when one team started Cass and the other team started Soj, the team on Cass would eventually swap Soj. I don't know. AVRL, did you notice this? I noticed this a lot, where like you'd see one team Cass, one team Soj, and then unless if the power between the two teams wasn't like a ton, even though like everything's kind of been a 3-0, I don't know. It feels like the non-Soj team tends to swap, but that's the only thing I've noticed. But it's really nice, good change.
I didn't pay attention to that, so I'm not too sure. But
Okay.
I'll give you the benefit of the doubt on that one.
I like Cass being meta over Sojourn. That's what I'm saying. I'm anti-Sojourn, so I hope they keep buffing Cass.
Dude, I don't. Fuck that. When you're playing tank and the cast just right clicks your bubble, your Winston bubble's insta gone, and then he gets 9 out. It's like, oh, fuck yeah. I love that. And then he hinders you and you can't even jump out. Oh, I love that.
Double
That's so
nano
fun.
cast. Double nano
Yes,
cast.
2 nanos. I hinder. Wow, that's so fun.
Yeah. It's pretty strong. I feel like they shouldn't buff him anymore. I feel like right now, like again, I feel like the Soj being played so much is almost an EMEA issue. They just like to play Soj. I don't know.
And
there was
EMEA
quite a
love
bit of
one
Ashe as
tricking.
well, right?
Yeah, one trick Malgan, the one trick Soj. Yeah, just one trick metas all the time.
Oh, wait, okay, is Korea this perfect region where
Yes.
everything's in harmony?
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, no one tricking ever. All right. Yeah, they were playing some Hanzo recently as well. So, like that. I think it was Stalker and then...
One dude play
in
Hanzo,
China.
actually.
One dude
yeah.
playing
Okay.
Hanzo.
Well,
Stalker.
okay. I saw some
Stalker.
China and some Hanzo in China as well this morning, actually, when I watched as well. So...
It was terrible, by the way. It did not go well.
It was. It's like I said on
It's
an earlier
Pineapple
episode.
and Hanzo, and it wasn't good.
It's like I
Live
said
car
earlier,
crash.
it's gambling. If you play Hanzo, it's gambling. You're just gambling. Either you hit the shots or you don't.
Unless you're
It's,
Stalker.
Unless you're Stalker.
Unless you're Stalker.
Oh, going
Um,
back to that thing, I feel that way. We were talking about Roadhog, like it's no consistency. I feel the same way with Doom. I feel like with Doom, if you want to make it work in like pro play, you have to be like so consistent. It's just not realistic. The other team,
I agree.
like when you have super punch, they're all hard calming it. Like they're not getting super punched when you have it. But in like ranked or in scrims, people are a lot less loose with it. But Doom always performs worse in matches. And there's like, before you had the slow, which allowed him to be pretty consistent. You hit your slow and then DPS can follow up. But there's no consistent value to Doom. It's just whether you kill them or not. And it's infinitely harder in matches. So, super inconsistent because of that.
They need to give the slow back. Give them back the slow.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Bring it
They
back.
never should have taken it away.
Yeah.
Definitely hurts to play against a little bit as the support.
Give him uppercut.
Give it uppercut. Come on, okay. That is max toxic. We're not going back to one-shotting people. There's like that. There's no way. All right, Echo. Base health reduced and replaced with 75 shield. What do we think about this change? Is this a good change for Echo? Is it too much shield? Does
I
it
think
help
fun.
at all?
It's good in a hit scan dominated meta. I like it.
Yeah, I think it's sick. I think it makes her
It
so
helps
much
her.
better versus hit scans. Like Freja got her buffs against hit scan. She has like a lot of mobility now. You have like the E, the right click and stuff. So you can actually like play her a lot more. I feel like Echo kind of needed that, especially in the 5v5 format. So I think it's sick.
All right. Good thoughts on Echo all around. Moving it on. Soldier. Primary fire now uses the larger projectile size. Has anyone played Soldier here?
Yeah, I have. I think it makes a big difference. Like, I think it makes it easier. I feel like Soldier, at least in lower ranks, players struggle to finish people off. I think it's way easier now. It seems like if you guys go play it in like quick play or ranked, you'll be able to tell for sure. It's a very obvious change.
Do you think it's does anything at all to impact like how good Soldier is at
No.
like, Tableau? No.
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 You just can't finish kills. You don't have any
you
burst
just
damage.
can't, yeah.
I will say though, like Soldier is a pretty good example of how to make a noob hero without the noob hero being useless or horribly annoying to have on your team. Like I hear the arguments because I've been on Twitter lately going against the Mercy and Lifeweaver Mafia. It's kind of a tough battle. It's it's honestly it's a tough fight. Okay, it's tough out there. And here's the thing: I don't think we need to make terrible heroes with terrible designs just for new players. We literally released Juno. Juno's like the best noob hero they've released in a while, honestly. And yeah, I mean, Juno isn't perfect. But Juno is like viable in a lot of situations. You're not really going to complain if you have Juno in your team. And I feel like Juno is super easy to pick up, you got that low skill floor.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're like, it's fine to create heroes that are very accessible. I think that's a good thing for the game. But I feel like also, we don't need to create designs that are terrible. Like you can make good heroes that are noob heroes. I think Soldier, yeah, he is kind of useless at pro play just because like there are better options. But even then, he's still not terrible to have in your team, especially ranked.
All right, and then we got Sojourn. Some slight nerfs coming in here. Much welcome for apply, but like again, I think we covered that. We're pretty good when it comes to the hit scan heroes right now. So, not sure if anyone has opinions, but otherwise we can move on to Widowmaker, which I think is maybe the bigger topic here. Base health increase from 200 to 225. If we remember, just a few months ago, it was a big topic that in top lobbies, Widowmakers were just way too oppressive, just so annoying to deal with. are we worried that Widowmaker becomes too strong again at one point? Considering that Widowmaker can be quite toxic, the one where you one-shot people, stuff like that. Are we worried about Widowmaker being annoying? Or do we think this is a healthy change? In any way?
I think it's fine.
I think it's
I mean,
fine.
yeah,
For
she hasn't
me,
been played that much.
For me, Sojourn always outweighs the problems. Like, I always feel like Sojourn is always the problem in most ranked games, more than Widow.
Dude, I'm not a Widow hater. I feel like people like, I don't know, Widow hate is like unwarranted because you can just swap your character to counters. Like every single role has counters. If you're playing tank, you can go like Ball, Doom, Winston, any dive tank, and you have like a way better chance against the Widow. If you're playing DPS, you can swap to flankers. Any flanker works. If you're playing support, you can just go Lucio and like fucking wall ride across the map. You can go Kiriko. You have a lot of options. You have Juno. You can speed your team. There's so many options. So I feel like people who hate on Widow are just I don't know. Not that
Dante
good.
wants to say skill issue. That's what
Yeah,
he wants to
skill
say.
issue.
Widow will always be annoying. I feel like, especially very punishing. When it comes to a lack of positioning awareness, and it can feel a little unfair at times to get one shot. Like no matter what, it's going to feel a little frustrating, and it can also feel frustrating to feel like you can't peek or do anything. Right? Feeling like you can't do anything is tough too. I do think the matchup against Widow, I would argue, is even maybe a little more frustrating, especially on like you got a Widow defense. Junkertown first point. That is like the worst, probably. That's like the best Widow spot, honestly, in the game. But like, even like when you're in that really frustrating situation, I think it is tough. But I kind of put out a tweet like saying, what if it like didn't instantly kill you and it put a little bleed on you that would kill you if you didn't get healed? It had mixed reactions. Personally, like I don't feel strongly about it either way. I feel like she's always going to be a bit of a tough character, kind of almost a math problem that you have to solve sometimes, where it's like, okay, we got to send someone back to go after the Widow, and then we can push like the core or whatever. I don't think that's a horrible thing though, as long as she keeps her situational place, and I don't think this buff is going to like do much to make her too much better. I'm not a hater either way. I think there are things they could do to maybe reduce the impact of the one shot, but like, I think I think it was apply. You don't like the Sojourn, right? Like I feel like there's other heroes and other things. We could rework some of the weak heroes. We could work on just balancing the existing heroes that might be a little too strong. That's honestly more of a focus right now than trying to mitigate the frustration of a one shot on certain maps. Can
I just chime in real quick about what you said about the bleed situation? I think I had the same conversation in my stream, and then someone reminded me that apparently we already had that in like a creator patch a long time ago. Custer was actually on that one, where they changed the Widowmaker damage to like a bleed, and apparently everyone hated it. Apparently it just wasn't fun. Yeah, that's what I got told.
Yeah,
Maybe
I've
tried
heard,
that
I've
already.
heard, I've
For
heard
Widow
that it was a
players?
creator patch.
No, for people playing against the Widow, like it just didn't make a difference. Like you bleed to death versus getting one shot, you just still die. Was like
Interesting.
what it came down to.
Like, what does
That's
that be
kind of
like
what
if you
Freya
get like
does.
if you get like
That
one
is basically
heal? Wouldn't you
Freya.
not die though?
Hmm?
You got like one heal after the headshot. Wouldn't you not die?
I don't know. I didn't play that patch. I don't even remember that creator patch. It was one of those fun creator patches from ages ago.
Yeah,
And
I
just got told people didn't like it. So
That is kind of what Freya does now. Like the 2 sticks, you like know you're gonna die. You like have to get one heal or yeah, that's kind of what Freya does.
That's why I talked about it, because I thought it was very interesting that they're like, okay, let's create, because I kind of said like, I feel like Freya falls into the hit scan DPS role. Like those players are going to be playing Freya probably. And like, Freya's going to be competing with the hit scan DPS as well. Like you're talking Sojourn, Ashe, Cass, whatever. And just like how it kind of mitigates the frustration that comes from a one shot from like Hanzo or Widowmaker. It's kind of like a different way to approach it, where it's a bit of damage over time. It gives you a chance to survive. And I found that people say, hey, that feels a little more fair. I think that's interesting. It's not something that I personally feel strongly about, but it's like it's an interesting discussion to have,
Well, now we only have an infiltrator in Costa at the Blizzard offices. Maybe we can.
But yeah,
ask him about it.
infiltrator
Yeah, we can see if he's
or
open,
mole.
open to something like that. All right, moving on to the 2 final support changes here as well to kind of close us out. Support, Biotic Grenade cooldown increased in both modes, and then the self nano-boost duration reduced from 8 to 6 seconds. Rak, was this warranted?
I think it's pretty warranted. I mean, I think Ana's like self nano was just very, 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 very strong.
Yep.
I think the headshots for like a bit people thought was like, oh, maybe it'll be good, but I think the double nano is definitely like
Too
just
strong.
insane.
So
you don't
big.
have to need heal at all. You just run into a dive. So I mean, 2 seconds isn't much, but like it's a lot in this situation.
I think it's a great nerf. I just hate the different game mode cooldowns.
Yeah,
I think
that's
it's actually
annoying.
like a really bad thing.
Yeah, me too.
That's fair.
Okay, and finally, Juno, ultimate cost increased. Feel like I've been asking for Juno nerfs forever, and they come patch by patch now. I personally like to see it. Not sure what you guys think.
I think it's fine.
That's
It's
it.
good.
It's
Nerfing
good.
the one
It's
part of
all
her
right.
We're
that
kind
needs
of
to be
at the point
adjusted.
now where Juno's balanced, right?
They just gotta fix one of her point. They gotta fix that first minor perk.
I don't know. I mean,
Bum.
with Juno still though, remember BAP Lucio still exists. It's just that Juno is usually always the better option. I feel like BAP is still irrelevant, and I weirdly kind of miss BAP. I feel like the slower brawl compositions with the BAP now, like everyone was like, "Oh, I hate immortality. I hate this. I hate that." But now that it's like orbital ray farm in the brawl mirrors, it's like maybe the BAP would be a little more interesting to watch, right?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Kiri and Juno ults. I feel like they're just way too impactful. They make like
Mhm.
Window.
agree.
It looks like just such an awful ult when you compare it to
Yeah,
Juno and
yeah.
Kiri.
Seriously, yeah,
Like
it
you,
is a
you play
problem.
these characters for their ults like a lot of times. I mean, I
Mhm.
guess they're good, but the ults are like really what makes them better than all the other supports when you play them.
Yeah, I'd like to see BAP come back eventually. I think BAP needs some better perks, but also maybe additional Juno nerfs on the ult just to make BAP like an option in those comps.
I feel like we're at the point now. I'm curious to see what Rack thinks about this as well. But I
Mm.
think we're at the point now where like Juno has been nerfed so much that slowly but surely we might see more Lucio because people get used to the Juno nerfs and
Well,
I think
realize
people
Juno's
just play
not strong.
Juno and Lucio.
Yeah,
I think-
people play
I think
Juno,
Juno-
Lucio, and Lucio Kiriko. It's not Lucio that's getting replaced. It's honestly BAP.
Yeah.
Because like Juno's more of a flex support, you know, and that's kind of where she's fallen meta pattern wise, where she's usually played with the Brig,
Right.
she's usually played with the Lucio. BAP is kind of just outshone by the Juno, right? And that is the problem there.
Yeah, BAP used to like pair really well with things like Cass, but like for the window and like sustain, but now your Juno can fly away and speedring your Cass, and like you don't have to waste amp. You can just like speedring your Cass. I think that's like better than a lamp, and honestly, a lot of situations you just rotate away from the danger instead of being in the danger.
All right. That closes out the balance patch and the entire podcast. I appreciate everyone staying this long of a time for a
Had
big
fun.
episode.
Yeah.
I had fun. I hope all you guys had fun as well. Now, of course, it's something we do every show. So we do have to crown Bren's Player of the Week. And I'm at least going to nominate Solomon for hooking up this 6-box. It's amazing production. Is there AVRL? Is there anyone you can think of? Any player?
I'm gonna nominate the entire country of China. No, just OW's China for coming back. I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I like that.
That's all.
Yeah.
That's all.
I have a player. Okay, I have a player.
Let's go.
After watching this match today, okay, I do not know how to pronounce his name, so I always call him Hal, but he's the main support player for Team CC.
That's super rich.
He's
That's
straight
super
up
rich.
He's straight up that's super rich. Straight up tossed on Kiri, like the first, like on Route 66, straight up like through. Okay, like terrible performance the full first half, and then came in on break and just locked in and like carried. Like he's the reason why they like were able to win at the very end and like reverse sweep ROC. I really feel like his Brig was like the main carry. He's my player of the match for that. So I'm gonna nominate him just because I feel like he had an insane performance there.
He was the guy with the little cup on the spark, if you remember that. That's super rich.
Love Super Rich. Part of the whole Nano Shy Overclock roster. I love that. That's a great version of Hangzhou Sport. All right. Thank you everyone for tuning in to episode 259. Appreciate having you all on. Apply, Rack, Dante, Ocie, AVRL. Thank you so much for a great episode. I wish you a great rest of your day. And if you're curious about Odysseus China to the viewers, we hope to have an episode up on Tuesday. So check that out on Tuesday for some Odysseus China action. But that's it for now. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Yay.
Bye.
Yippee.